Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
I'm Shalom Klein. Join me each week for the Get Down to Business radio show. This show is packed with ideas that will inspire as you search for best practices to grow your business. Whether you are an experienced entrepreneur or just learning the ropes, Get Down to Business will tackle the issues affecting your everyday work life.
Get Down to Business is covered by Tom Marabali, independent producer for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois.
Listen each week to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein. Heard Sunday afternoons at 6 right here on AM 560.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Ugh, me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's augustinos.com.
Honey, have you seen our roof after that storm last night? I think we need to call someone.
Don't worry. We got the shingle company on speed dial.
But I keep hearing in the news recently how dangerous sloped roofs can be. Our home in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point.
Well, the shingle company isn't afraid of any sloped roofs. Their safety record is spotless, their warranty unmatched, and they offer a low-price apples-to-apples guarantee. Besides, it costs us nothing to get a quote.
The Shingle Company, your local roofing experts who handle even the steepest of slopes with ease. Whether it's residential or commercial roofing, they've got you covered. With 3 generations of building experience, they're also experts in siding, gutters, windows, and more.
I am so glad we called them, and I can't believe our insurance covered practically the whole project.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Plus, I love that they're proud supporters of AM 560.
Visit the Shingle Company today at shingleco.com. Again, that's shingleco.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is John Cass, JohnCassNews.com.
It's a pleasure to be here on such a beautiful morning. I'm so excited to talk about whatever we'll talk about, but I might want to talk about something like hyenas, jackals, and so forth.
No, maybe we'll get to that. But obviously the lead story has to be that much anticipated, long-awaited sit-down with Kamala Harris that Dana.
What do they call it?
I'm just going to I'm just getting comfortable with Kamala
Bash.
and pronouncing that right. Now I have to worry about Dana versus Dana. Anyway, Dana Bash, or Dana, did a wonderful impersonation of a newsreader for Russia Today, I thought. It's one of the best impersonations I've seen.
It was pretty good.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line if you deigned to watch 30 minutes of Kamala and Dana with about a 2-minute interlude of Tampon Tim. And please give us a call with your reactions.
It's all the grammar. It's not my fault. It's my wife pointing out the grammar.
Well, we began the interview at the beginning, and that is the probing, insightful question, what will you do on day one? And even that was a little bit of a curveball for Kamala.
If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward.
Got it in. There's a new way forward.
In a
Got
way
the
that
slogan.
generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment.
So what are you going to do on day one?
Diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans.
This is
really dividing our nation.
what about
and
day
I think people are ready
one?
to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Oh, there it is.
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
That was so. What are you going to do, honey? You know, if this was a film noir from the 1990s, then Linda Fiorentino would track her down, and she wouldn't like what happened because she's all about the voice and the sexy voice and talking and
Is
purring.
that a sexy voice?
Not to me.
Okay.
It was to Willie Brown for quite some time. And she uses that voice to purr her way through. But you can't purr your way through when you don't have facts. My God. I mean, this is, I don't like to know what people think because I know what I think. I already know.
Well, yeah, and by the way, I mean, just to pick out one or two things, we finally got around to day one. She's going to roll out her big opportunity economy plan, which is price controls and more price controls. Interesting reaction from Kevin O'Leary, who's the Shark Tank guy, but he's a very successful real estate investor too. Just specifically on this $25,000 subsidy, $25,000 tax credit for first-time homeowners. This is central to what she has for the opportunity economy. It's basically going after price gougers, which is folly, and then this $25K for first-time home buyers. This is really all anything resembling a specific she's provided. The only things resembling specific she's provided. Listen to Kevin O'Leary's riff on that proposal.
Very simply, I'm in the real estate market. Many are. I'm an investor in real estate. It's a state mandate. So when you want to build a house in a state, you've got to get a permit. I don't know what state's going to give her a permit for 3 million homes, and so that's never going to happen. Secondly, the reason there's been so much inflation in housing is not just the market, it's the regulatory environment. California's a very good example. Half the cost of a house, 40 to 50% is the cost of the regulatory hurdle to get the permit in the first place. So that has to be changed. Now, this idea of giving free money from a helicopter in an inflated market that's tight, where there's no supply, and the reason there's no supply is half the mortgages that are still out there for the next 3 years are at under 4%. So if you own one of those mortgages, you're never going to sell your house. It's an anomaly period because, yeah, well, you're not going to sell your house. And so as a reason, you don't want to pay 7.2% mortgage. You're not dumb. So that's why there's no supply. So this idea that you're going to give $25,000 of free dollars to people, let's say there's one house on your street for sale, and all of a sudden you give 9 buyers $25,000 more dollars each. All of that goes to the seller. They'll just raise their price $25,000. This idea is beyond insane. It's the worst policy I've ever heard, and everybody in real estate knows it's a non-starter. That's the second idea I know would never stick, never get through Congress. I mean, how many ways can you think to print money? That's why you have inflation. You got to stop. Remember, this is the same person, and she's going to have to take scrutiny on this and questions, that signed that bill that we didn't need, you know, the Inflation Reduction Act. That ended up being very inflationary.
You got to stop. No, you don't have to. You can't make me. But yeah, and by the way, I conflated the two.
You can't make her when Dana Bash is holding her hand and leading her forward.
The $25,000, that's housing assistance, so that's a transfer payment. The child tax credit, bumping that up to $6,000. Those are her two big ideas. And yeah, I mean, it was funny when Charles Thomas was on the show yesterday, and he was talking about, Dana, her credibility on the line. Journalists are going to be looking at her and say, did she represent our profession well with this big this moon landing of an interview? And
it already was ruined by the fact that she was selected by Kamala.
Well, I suppose, yeah, but I mean, it was. Well, I mean, I've said to me it was like watching a member of the Politburo be interviewed by a journalist on Russia Today, a quote unquote journalist on Russia Today. I mean, it was comical, but it lived down to my expectations. This is going to be platforming some stories that make her more relatable and likable. And then the other part is, okay, let's do some September 10th debate prep on the flip-flops. I know you got a canned answer, so I'm going to set them up flip-flop. I pretend to be a journalist, and then you give us the spin you're going to offer on the flip-flops, and then I just move on to the next flip-flop so that we check the boxes, border.
Isn't that journalism? You test market the lies?
Well, border, just one after the other. Biden health, border, and so forth. And then, okay, that's your packaged answer. Then I'll move on to the next issue. That's all it was. It was like flashcards.
Embarrassing.
Bill and Glen Ellen, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
She is even more of a Chauncey Gardner candidate than Joe Biden was. I mean, it's almost as if she was going to start talking about the garden in the fall, spring, and winter. And whenever you talk about these journalists, you should just identify them as Democrat Party journalist Dana Bash. I think that would identify them more quickly for the mainstream audience.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Appreciate it.
I don't want any journalist disparaged, but, as Chauncey Gardner said, I like to watch.
Mike in Littleton, Colorado, that is.
Hey, good morning and happy Friday. I find it interesting, the appeal for these scumbags always goes, oh, you can buy your child. My first priority is your child's safety seat, and you can buy formula. Yeah, when you don't kill them in that off chance. And you know what? The only thing bigger than the scumbags running for office, honestly, are the people that would look at somebody like this in any serious vein and vote for him. It's incredible.
Thanks for the call, Mike. I mean, Dana Bash at some points was positively doughy-eyed. I mean, there's a lot of Madam Vice President. I mean, you'd be respectful finding the title, but then you don't have to keep referring to the officially sanctioned title. You can just ask questions after that,
And can't you touch on, at least the beginning, the support animal? the support animal that lied all the way through the whole thing.
Well, I mean, he's just such a big dumb oaf.
Dolt.
It really was. I mean, the thing was like a little less than a half hour, and Tim Walz was just there to, nod along, as you say. Be a support animal. That's sort of what it was. That's a pretty good metaphor. All right, well,
Steve, the pilot, would not allow him on his own plane.
Yeah, not without a doctor's note.
Right, exactly.
All right, we'll take more of your calls and go through more of said interview at 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Crystal Blue.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Crystal Blue in the AM 560 newsroom. Mostly cloudy skies today with a chance for showers and a high near 87. 4 people are in custody after they were accused of stealing dozens of televisions from a freight train on Chicago's South Side. Police say the crime took place early Thursday morning near 63rd and Wentworth. Authorities say officers spotted 4 suspects loading TVs from a train onto the bed of a pickup truck. The alleged offenders ran off but were arrested after a brief foot chase. Police recovered 39 flat-screen televisions from the truck. Cook County authorities are ruling an electrocution death of a man on a CTA Red Line third rail a homicide. The unidentified 31-year-old male victim fell on the tracks early Tuesday morning at the 79th Street station. He was taken to University of Chicago Hospital with injuries to his body and was later pronounced dead. Area 2 detectives are investigating. University of Illinois building and food service workers could be headed for a strike next month. The union workers voted down the latest contract proposal from the university. The group voted to go on strike on July 24th, and barring new contract proposals, the work stoppage could begin as soon as September 15th. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Lower.com equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Their video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak. Taking a look at the roads. Still no problems on the inbound Edens. Great news. 15 minutes in from Lake Cook Road to Montrose. Kennedy 17 in from O'Hare to downtown. That tightens up Sacramento to California. On the Eisenhower, a little bit of road work tying things up as well. North Avenue to St. Charles. That travel time 35, 390 into the post office. Stevenson is open as you head in from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Rhine is clear. Express lanes tightening up 51st to 47th because of an accident, taking out 2 of the left lanes. The Skyway is fine. I-57 and the Bishop Ford look good. DuSable Lakeshore Drive also clear. The Tri-State, Jane Addams, Reagan, and Veterans Memorial tollways are also fine. Traffic is brought to you by Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sun and clouds, warm and humid. A thunderstorm could bring some damaging wind. The high today 87. Clear tonight, low 63. Sunny, less humid tomorrow. The high 85. Sunny, nice day on Sunday. The high at 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in frame of this morning, John Cass, JohnCassNews.com, talking about the Kamala Walz sit down with Dana
Bosch.
CNN's Dana. Anyway,
Dana Bash.
The much anticipated, and we're just getting into it. And let's get right to the meat of it.
Come on. All right.
The meat of it was, of course, waiting with bated breath, a moment where you said you would ban fracking, and now you're saying you won't ban fracking. Those sorts of moments. They're going to be so interesting. We expect a dogged journalist like Dana Bash to hold power's feet to the fire. Now, remember the verve with which Kamala, back in 2019, when she was running for president, 2020
Absolutely,
cycle.
100%.
The verve, the vibe that she brought to her support for banning fracking. Give you an example.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. You know, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. I think about this issue through the lens of my baby nieces, who are 1.5 and 3 years old. And when I look at those babies and I think about what the world will be like in 20 years if we don't act, I'm really afraid. And as it relates to those Republicans in Congress, where I've now been for 2.5 years, every one of those members needs to look at the babies, the grandbabies in their life, and then look in the mirror and ask themselves, why have they failed to act?
That's more than just saying I support banning fracking. I mean, that sort of moralizing and indignation is really next level.
It's a cover-up. It's covering up by the outrage. Like, how dare you? I take great umbrage in what you've said.
Right.
Basically.
But I mean, that's somebody who really wants to ban fracking until she doesn't.
When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
Where's Ditka? Where's Ditka when you need him?
In 2019, I believe, in a town hall, you said, you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
Wait.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking.
What?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. We don't have to ban fracking now because of all the things we've done that that now alleviate the need to ban fracking. Of course, there's more to do. And my values haven't changed. That's the money line that you heard over and over again. My values haven't changed.
I think we have to draft a tight end, number 89, to stand there and look at her and say, "Hey, Kamala, who you crapping?" Because who you crapping, honey?
But that line. So that's what you're going to hear on September 10th at the debate.
Her values haven't changed. Yeah.
Right. My positions have evolved because of the work that we've accomplished. We put in the work, and every day, because that's when you have to do it, every single day. So now we can modulate, I don't think she'll use that word, the program. We still have the mandates, the goals, I should say. She doesn't call them mandates. The goal, right. She's against mandates now, too. We still have the goals. We set the goals out in the backdoor Green New Deal, or what they call the Inflation Reduction Act. So now we don't have to do it. But the values, her values are her values.
People who support this
are her values.
The problem, people who support this in the media must be mercilessly ridiculed. You know, like, we have to get going on that movie that I talked to you about a long time ago, Ridicule, the French film, because
it's a great film.
Ridicule is the film of our time now. We need to have it back. We need to go after her.
You know what else they featured in Ridicule? You'll remember.
What?
Duels. I mean, just in thinking about throwing back. I mean, we can't go back, John. We're not going back.
I'd like to go to duels. Yeah.
New way forward. Just one more for fun. So, like, are you still a yes on illegal border crossings no longer being illegal? You still a yes on that?
There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who
Say it
has
with her. Prosecuted transnational
criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings.
Those are her values, John, and they're not going to change.
She lost 250,000 or 400,000 children who are being assaulted right now. No one talking about them because they don't want to talk about it. And as far as I'm concerned, the only people who would think this was a good interview would be Joy Behar and Joy Reid.
The 300,000 kids that are missing, unaccompanied minors that are missing in this country.
Is that an accounting error?
That would have been an interesting question for like an interviewer to ask. You know,
like, do you bear any responsibility? Do you feel no shame? Have you no decency, madam? How's that? Yeah. You perverted my profession, but then again, journalists have perverted it long before you got here.
Craig in Wakanda, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. I got a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Last I heard, she's got $500 million in her campaign fund. On the chance that she loses, does she have access to any of that?
Yeah, well, not she can't convert it to individual use, but I mean, as long as you have a balance in the account or the account's open, you can, you have access to it for legal purposes, political purposes. Yeah.
What if she never decides to run for anything else again? Where
Well,
does the money go?
it stays there until and unless it's spent down using political influence, to participate in politics. I'd have to look at the FEC. I think you can make charitable contributions too, but I'd have to double check that.
How about producing her own
Yeah,
Netflix?
I tried to look it up and I couldn't find an answer.
Yeah, well,
There's a lot of what ifs.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Yeah, I mean, it's not going in her pocket, but I mean, it's like Ed Burke, or I mean, just to make it a state level, Ed Burke, with his $10-12 million campaign fund that he had forever. I mean, he wasn't converting it to personal use, and he wasn't spending much of it, but he always had it, and it's a source of political power, right? I mean, money is the mother's milk.
As opposed to spending it on stuffed elk heads and Michael Jackson memorabilia.
That's a good example of what you can't do. Yeah, see Jesse Jackson Jr. Right. Pat and Lombard.
The points for all. Our vacuous vice president. She just comes through with such a smile. Oh wait, they told her not to smile. And then there's no mention of the world is on fire. There's safety in Illinois. Instead, there's corporate villain. Where's the safety?
Thanks for the call, Pat.
It saves one child.
Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan. Good to see you, Mr. Cass.
Hey.
What a joke.
Madam Cass?
No, Mr. Cass.
Yeah, my pronouns are a word I can't say, and you. These are my pronouns.
Madam Vice President of JohnCastNews.com. All right, go ahead.
What a joke. Wasn't there less than 20 minutes of real discussion? Take away the commercials, all the lead-ins to the questioning, the teases at the at the commercials, and the inconsequential questions like the call to Biden. Dana didn't really follow up on a lot of the questions.
Yeah.
What you mentioned here with the fracking. You're before it, before you're against it, you're before, whatever. And then why was Walz there? What did he do to add to it?
Thanks for the call, Bob. He was her phone a friend. But again, on fracking, she couldn't have made it more clear.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking.
I mean, if it worked for Fetterman, why can't it work for her? Right?
Was she a human Chernobyl, as Joe Concha says? I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be received that way by, much of the country. But I can't imagine. Even this sort of the CNN panelists in the postmortem, she moved the ball forward. I wouldn't call it a touchdown. There were sort of those sorts of remarks that were made.
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah. One more, since the issue of Coach Walz. It's Coach Walz to you. Use the titles, please.
Assistant coach.
He got two questions, as you saw, and the two questions were basically about his lying. Why'd you lie about this, but why'd you lie about that?
Cast in the most charitable terms.
Well, of course.
He suggested that you happened to turn black. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor.
Does that have to do with what
my
you lied
record
about?
speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar's not always correct. But again...
Blames his wife now?
That was a grammatical error? By the way, everybody knows me. Nobody knows you. Nobody outside of Minnesota knows who the hell you are.
Here's what we know about you. You let Minneapolis burn, and then your wife opened the windows and took a deep breath because she, like Winnie Mandela, wanted to smell the victory of the burning city in the air.
Don't you love how politicians talk? Did you misspeak or misrepresent your time in service to the country when you said weapons of war like I had, implying you were in a theater of war? Did you misspeak or misrepresent?
Why don't you just ask, why did you lie?
Fine, whatever. The answer is, let me tell you about the things I'm proud of. I mean, it all started a boy with a dream in a Cub Scout uniform. I was proud to be a Cub Scout. I was proud to make it to Weeblo. I was proud to, for my
Weeblo, check you out, Scout.
I was proud to, be the first alternate on my 8th grade debate team. I was everything I'm proud of, and I don't denigrate everybody, and I accept responsibility for what I say, and then I'm going to call it a grammatical error. When I finally get done with telling you all the things I'm proud of, and everybody knows who I am and knows what kind of guy I am, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. You wear your heart on your sleeve, so that entitles you to lie? What is that? I don't,
wear your heart on your sleeve so you can lie
sense.
on your service.
And none of that makes any... He's as bad as Kamala when it comes to this sort of,
word salad.
Sewer pipe of a mouth that just flows and flows and flows. George in Naperville.
Yeah, in response to John Cass saying that the only people that would like this interview is The View, that's because The View has values. They're men-hating shrews.
That's right. Those are their values.
Get your classical metaphors together. These are the flesh-eating mares of Diomedes.
Wow.
Okay, I came up with that to impress Dan Proft.
That is impressive.
I know he has read a book or two.
I wasn't expecting a Diomedes reference until the 7:00 hour. Actually, it's good to get it going. Again, now just remember. All of the things you're seeing online and these right-wing talk shows and conservative media about she had one position, she had that position. Just remember who she is. Who she is.
How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
Yep.
You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America, and by extension the globe, around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organization violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
It's unfortunate that she is given a platform, but the Democrats put her up, and now they're going to ride her to the finish line.
Oh, boy.
They have to, because they had Biden and he couldn't make it, and they want to control the Congress or keep some. They don't want to lose as many votes as they in Congress.
How does that?
As they would have.
How does that spin? My values haven't changed. How does that spin sit with you? I mean,
it's insulting. I mean, legitimately, it is insulting.
Well,
because there are no values here.
But I'm talking about like her ability to sell that as a way to extricate herself from the duplicity of the duplicity of her politics and the cypheritic nature of her candidacy.
It's all about the voice, and it's about the purring and the voice.
But can she? Is it sellable? Is my question. I know what it is.
If look, not to a normal person, but to Dana Bash, it is, because that's what they're doing. They're promoting her as she purrs, and they're saying this is clear-headed logic. This is what we need. It's pathetic, but it's there.
Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, 2 quick things. About the environment, her values. The only thing that changed is she doesn't like her nieces anymore.
No, they had them. Thanks for the call, Joe. They had the moment.
Is that the fake niece with the pigtails in the picture that Dana Bash was referring to?
Yeah, I don't think it's not. I don't think it's a fake niece.
That's the niece. And
the niece, this iconic, this photo that went viral, and it gave her a chance to, to talk about what a good auntie she was.
Yeah.
The more hard hitting.
She made pancakes. Who wants bacon? I remember that. I was like, okay.
Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yeah. Sure you can, my favorite niece. It's wonderfully scripted conversation she has with her nieces, just like she has with Dana Bash.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
AM 560, The Answer.
And the other thing is, when they go low, we go high, John. Have you ever heard that one before?
I've heard that.
I'll give you an example of what that sounds like.
He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. You're not dragging her down to the mud. Go high. Coming up at 6:06, more on that interview. We got to hear about the call with Biden. Now it's 6 a.m. and 560 WIND.
Time to turn the page. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. That was the message from Vice President Kamala Harris in her CNN interview. Her first sit down since President Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race.
I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
Fox's Doug Lazater.
We've been looking for policy details from the vice president, but this was her painting in still pretty broad strokes in her first sit-down interview since becoming a candidate more than a month ago. But Harris had difficulty explaining some of the abrupt reversals that we've seen in recent weeks on everything from electric vehicle mandates and the border wall to her now former opposition to fracking. Now, for his part, VP nominee Tim Walz was asked about his assertion that he carried a weapon in war after never having actually been in combat. He blamed that on an error in his grammar.
The one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump is set to appear at the annual gathering of Moms for Liberty today, but first he's going to visit another battleground state for a rally.
Former President Trump will speak in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Friday afternoon. He's been traveling around the country holding rallies in critical swing states, hoping to combat what has been, as of late, a surge by the Democratic ticket led by Vice President Kamala Harris. The Johnstown rally comes 2 months after the attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania. Today's rally will be an indoor event. Recent polling has former President Trump and Vice President Harris virtually tied in Pennsylvania with less than 10 weeks to Election Day. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
And yesterday, the former president announced he wants to make IVF treatment free and offer tax deductions for newborn expenses. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Crystal Blue in the AM 560 newsroom. Mostly cloudy skies today with a chance for showers and a high near 87. Southwest suburban Joliet police are investigating after 2 teenage boys were shot near a local grocery store. The shooting happened Wednesday night, not far from a Western Food Mart parking lot. Officers found the 17 and 15-year-old teens suffering from gunshot wounds in the 300 block of Bluff Street. Both suffered non-life-threatening injuries. No one is in custody. A man is accused of driving through a group of people in Springfield. Evan Hudson is charged with aggravated battery and aggravated assault with a vehicle. Police say Hudson got into a fight with 2 people early yesterday in the parking lot of the Quick and Easy at 430 North Grand Avenue. He then got into his vehicle and drove through a group of people on the sidewalk. A woman was sent to the hospital after the vehicle ran over her legs. The Knox County Board is appointing a new state's attorney. The board approved the appointment of Sherry Lawson Weaver to serve as the county's state's attorney until a new one is sworn in after the November election. Lawson Weaver is currently the assistant state's attorney. She's replacing current Knox County State's Attorney Jeremy Carlin, who announced he is resigning next week. Republican Ashley Warby is running unopposed in November for Knox County State's Attorney. Mayor Brandon Johnson says Chicago faces a nearly $1 billion budget deficit for 2025. He told reporters Wednesday that the gap is significant and it's going to require decisions that will speak to the city's overall collective desire to build an economy that works for working people. The mayor added that sacrifices will be made. Chicago Budget Director Annette Guzman said the city is currently considering several ways to repair the $233 million hole for 2024. It includes slowing down hiring, imposing a hiring freeze, and reducing other discretionary spending that departments have within their budgets through the end of this year. Mayor Johnson is expected to recommend a budget to the City Council in October. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher thinks we've gone to the dark side.
It has been confirmed they're offering free abortions and free vasectomies at the DNC this week in Chicago. How do normal people react to that news? I mean, do you have any problem with this? Does this seem sane and normal and rational to you?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, Does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Smoke fumes and dust are a nuisance your business can do without, causing health hazards for employees and possible EPA problems for your company. If you need help cleaning up these problems, call a company that has the expertise and capability to help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. I've got over 40 years of personal experience in dealing with smoke fumes and dust emissions, and I can help you eliminate these problems from your plant. Contact Vans for a no-cost evaluation of your system, and we will size equipment, design hoods and ductwork for a complete turnkey solution.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest levels to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your ventilation inspection today. That's 833-VANSIND. You can also visit them online at vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. The Edens inbound looks great from Lake Cook Road to Montrose. It is 25 minutes on the inbound Kennedy to get into downtown. That slows down Lawrence to Montrose. Inbound Eisenhower also wide open 390 into downtown. Northbound I-55 sluggish 53 to the Veterans Memorial Tollway. 30 minutes inbound Stevenson Veterans Memorial into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. On the inbound Dan Ryan 15 minutes 95th on in. You will see delays in the Express 35th to the Stevenson. Skyway is fine. 57 in the Ford all clear. No troubles, DuSable Lakeshore Drive. On the Veterans Memorial Tollway northbound, an overturned car after Army Trail, and that one is blocking the left lane. Traffic is brought to you by Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and some sun and thunderstorm. It'll be humid. Thunderstorms could bring some damaging wind today, high 87. Clear tonight, low 63. Sunny, less humid day tomorrow, and the high 85. And then sunny, very nice day on Sunday, the high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning. John Cass JohnCastNews.com.
Hello.
And, John, I'm talking about this interview that Dana did with Kamala. Kamala? I want to get pronunciations right.
Here's how you do it. You bow and put your forehead to the floor when you address her.
There's no question.
Right.
The genuflection was pronounced. Anyway, she got a scoop, though. Dana Bash did. Dana?
Madam Vice President?
Got a scoop. We got the inside details of the call. The call. You know, the call.
What was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing.
Titillating.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were going
Where's dog?
we were sitting down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, "I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you."
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him, to be honest.
Yeah, right. What? That you left him in a heap on the side of the road?
Kamala, as you know, you and your friends are threatening me with the 25th Amendment removal, so I'm not going to run. I just thought you should hear it from me. It was a poignant moment. I thought she was attempting to squeeze out a tear. It didn't happen. But
here's the thing, Dan.
Wonderful.
You have been a candidate, and for 40 years I worked for a newspaper that now is in the gutter, but it was once prominent. And in that time, candidates and news people doing interviews are often interrupted by the PR guy. And the friendly PR guy says, ask her about the call. And then Dana, whatever, asks about the call. It fills in the
oh, what a moment. What a moment.
It's like those insights that really help you understand the true nature of the candidate.
Yeah, I mean, that is an indelible moment in American political history.
Yes.
We got the scoop. We got the details. And the only question I have after that, I mean, certainly I take everything that Kamala says at face value, especially when she said, to be honest, twice. That's when you know somebody's being honest. When they say it twice,
right?
They sort of signal it, bracket it. That's how you know they're being honest. I just want to know. So, what happened with that bacon? Did the baby nieces get more of the?
And did Doug get it?
Well, where was Dog? Dog is the modern man. He is a hunk. He is a sex symbol for these times. I would think that he would be making the bacon while they played where they did that puzzle that Kamala said she was going to do. And by the way, how did that turn out? I mean, I want more of those details.
I want to know, did he wear puffy pink slippers while he was making the bacon?
I mean, they're just a comfortable, run-of-the-mill family, just like anybody else. They're just like you at home. That's what they want you to know. Jim in Lake County, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, it's Friday to all the listeners out there, and I have an idea.
Okay.
To the Dana Bash interview, the presentation of lies. Just turn the volume down and cue up Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album. And not only will you see the media be seen from behind the wizard's curtain, but you'll actually feel the vasectomy happening.
Thanks for the call, Jim. That's vivid. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope no one hits the truck. Yeah.
Jan, Hoffman Estates.
Hi, good morning. When you were talking about democratic values.
No, Kamala's values.
Are
Kamala's values are transcendent.
large segment
Yeah.
of the population that is all for the lying, the cheating, the corruption, and they're all okay with it. So those are all valid points. They have no values. And I'm not saying that I say that they're not good people, but what I mean is that they have no values.
Right. Okay. Well, if you have no values, it's difficult to be a good person. I mean, I don't want to, get into semantics, but yeah. Lewis, Southside.
Good morning. You underestimating her.
I'm not.
They have a saying that when they tell you who they are, believe them. What she's doing is she's sending a message to her supporters out there. She's saying she's emphasizing that her goals have not changed. She's still the same person.
100%. I totally agree with that.
Okay, and so what it is that she's a chameleon, and she's going to use the environment out there to get what she needs. She's a predator. And she's going to use that environment out there. And so what she's doing is like I say, she's sending her a message to her supporters out there and her donors out there, letting them know that even though everything, whatever I say, don't believe it, just believe that I'm still my values have not changed.
I think that's right on the mark. I think that's right on the mark. I think she's doing exactly what you're saying. The question is, though, I mean, the fake, the phoniness of it all, and the not the question to her base or to her donors or to the rest of the new Bolshevik elites, but to the swing voter in the battleground states. You think that my values haven't changed, even though I'm doing 180s on these on all of these issues? You think that they buy that?
Yeah, they're gonna buy it because she's trying to get she's reaching out to the Hamas supporters in Michigan. She needs Michigan, and she's reaching out to them, and then to like you were saying, the green energy people with that fracking. She doesn't believe in that fracking. And she's reaching out to them. She needs them. And so what she has to do is she has to put that facade out there to make you think that she has changed and evolved, and she hasn't. That's why she kept saying, my values have not changed. You have to listen to that part.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. No, I agree. Not listen to it. That is the takeaway line of the interview.
And Lewis is the caller of the day, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean,
he nails it.
He's right. It's exactly what she's doing. But I'm not saying I know the answer. I think it's unclear. But that's the real question. The question is the middle of the road voter, outside of Milwaukee, going to buy that?
Everything that they say in these interviews has been poll tested. Every phrase.
It's more complicated than that. It doesn't mean that it doesn't. We know that my values haven't changed is going to be received this way by this cohort of voters in this geographic or demographic. It's more complicated than that. It's also how you deliver it. It's also sort of the context of the quality of the candidate more generally. I mean, you can't just say, my values haven't changed, but I've changed my mind. If we just say that, then everybody's going to buy it. It's not that simple. I don't think so.
All right.
Trish in the South Loop.
Yes, good morning, Dan. Good morning, everyone. I'm a sci-fi buff, and I was thinking about the movie Idiocracy in 2006.
Love that movie.
Great movie.
The president's name, wait for it, Camacho. Okay, I think you got it.
Terry Crews.
You're seeing a
And we're just about
parallel.
at where the public is, where the people were in that film. If anybody hasn't watched it, go right ahead. Help yourself to Camacho.
Thanks for the call, Trish. Pretty good. It's a pretty good poll. That's a great Mike Judge movie.
Yeah, it is.
And it's as Trish is not sort of insinuating, as she's insinuating, it was foreshadowing. Christine in Rogers Park.
Hi, I remember that Sunday, and I'm wondering, did the bacon and pancakes and puzzle come before or after they went to church?
Good one.
Thanks for the call, Christine. Dog was just probably rolling in by the time it was pancakes and bacon time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that, you mean the fellow, did he leave the nanny in the car?
Grant on I-90.
Good morning, great gentlemen. Use your imagination and think of the Charles Schultz's Peanuts comic strip, and Comrade Kamala is the proverbial dark-haired Lucy holding the football, coaxing Charlie Brown. Trust me, I'm going to hold the football for you. You can come and kick it. And Charlie Brown is the American Democrat public.
Thanks for the call, Grant. Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Good morning, Cass.
Hey.
I think also that there's a situation brewing in Washington, D.C. If they can get this no-trick pony over the finish line, then the circle is now complete. They've taken over our political system, they've taken over our courts, and they've taken over our legislature. I think this is also a test for them. If they can get her over the finish line, then they don't need us anymore at all. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call, Corey. I think there's something to that. And just on the Biden thing, though, too, this other piece of it, I mean, this is just high dungeon, this exchange between Bash and Harris. Any regrets? Any regrets about essentially you trying to, being part of the team that was gaslighting the American public about Biden's health, right? Now, if I was Kamala, I would say, hey, right back at you. Hey, partner.
Hey, you were part of this?
Hey, partner. You were at the meetings, but listen to this exchange.
Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career.
Biden.
Truly. He cares so deeply about the American people.
While he's on the beach.
He is so smart and loyal to the American people.
Is that when he's raising
and I
the
have spent
glass to Xi
hours upon
Jinping?
hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president. By contrast, the former president has none of that. And so, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I am so proud to be running with Tim Walz for president of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
What do you think about that?
That is just too much.
Any regrets about telling the American public, being one of the many, telling the American public something that clearly was not true? Let me tell you about how proud I am to have served with Joe Biden. He's smart. I love him dearly. We're all going to miss him.
Answer.
We're going to miss him
let
terribly.
You do it.
If they let you do it, I guess. But I mean, if you're a sentient being and you're watching that and you can't connect those dots, if you don't see what she's doing, boy, and I know a lot of people won't.
That's the point.
Or they'll be willfully blind to it.
That's the point where journalists steps in, holds the hand up, and says, wait a minute, wait. Let's get back to the question, Madam Vice President. Do you have any regrets? You're not answering the question.
Well,
Do
first
you
of
have
all,
any regrets? You have to form, and this is what Trump is going to have to do, deal with that, with all these ABC jerks around him at the debate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
he's going to have to fight through that.
But here's the thing: the question itself is the tell. The question itself was the tell that Dana is. Now is the time to give me your out on
your BS answer
on the Biden health situation, because the question about this was what we saw in the debate. A real question about this, a conversation about it.
Right.
What we saw in the debate stage, and what you and me. But you and all of these other cabinet secretaries were saying about Joe Biden, they couldn't have been further apart. After the debate, you still were saying the same things about him.
Yeah.
It was just a bad night and this and that. So
until Barack called you and told you it was over.
Yeah. So let's bring in who did you have conversations with? Were you part of the conversations that Nancy Pelosi was having with Hakeem Jeffries and
Dan,
Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama?
These
and
are questions for an interview. This was not an interview.
I understand, but that's my point. Is to say, just saying, like checking the box, saying, "Oh, she asked him if she asked Kamala."
It's already been asked, Dan.
She asked Kamala if she had any regrets. Asked and answered. I went over this. It's time to move forward. We ain't going back. We're moving new way forward.
Wait, who am I sitting in with? Sonny Hostin here?
It's such a setup.
Oh my God!
It's such a. It baffles me that people can't see this game. Some people, a lot of people who will vote for her, a lot of people will give her high marks.
They don't want to. Here's the question.
They can't see this game that's being run.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to question it. All they want is their abortions. That's all they want. Abortion, abortion, abortion. That's all.
I mean,
the rest of it, and all these awfuls, the angry white feminist females.
Yeah, right.
The liberal, the lefties. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they want.
But here, so this journal poll that came out today, and it's a 2-point race, whatever. It's irrelevant. Forget the horse race. The fave on faves. Trump is -8, 45-53. Kamala's even, 49-49. I mean, basically, it's do you like this person? That's what these fave on faves ultimately end up being.
Yeah.
49% of the country, and by the way, 84% said they've seen and heard enough to formulate an informed opinion about Kamala. So this isn't like, oh, they just watched the convention, they know anything. No, they know. She's been the vice president. She's been around. And 49% of the country watches that interview and like, yeah, I like her. I like the cut of her jib. I mean, you cannot like Trump for his personality and behavior sometimes. I can understand that, but how do you just separate it from Trump? How do you look at this woman and this racket and say, I like that? That's the crazy thing to me. Jordan, Antioch, you're in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Dan.
Hey.
I think we all knew what we were going to get out of this interview. So, I mean, it's frustrating, but then again, we kind of knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
What I would like to see now from going forward is I'd like to see Donald Trump use her words, right? Use her talking points. Kamala, thank you for being such a dogged prosecutor, transnational prosecutor of all these and just looking out for our youth and everything else and keeping drugs off the streets. So to that point, could you please shed some light to the experience that you have on the 500,000 youth that die every year in this country of fentanyl that comes through the border that you were appointed czar of? And then can you also, maybe while we're on that topic, maybe explain to the audience here how it is that under your regime we're going to move forward? Are we going to reduce the dependency on narcotics and barbiturates and fentanyl laced things? Are we going to reduce that, or are we going to continue that? And another one, since you're so much about protecting the country from firearms, where do you stand on Eric Holder's Operation Quarterback? Would you be okay to stop that fentanyl? Would you be okay with issuing, selling illegal firearms to the cartels across the border that you're the czar of, so that they can come back across the border that you're the czar? Use her words and her positions and the things that she is lauding, and point and ask her to explain away, try to, on a national stage, not in front of Dana Bash, just calmly say, thank you very much for your dogged service. Explain this.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jordan. Actually, that's the subject of a commentary I posted yesterday at American Greatness and also on Twitter and social media, that the charge that Trump has on September 10th is to get Kamala splaining.
Yeah.
The Kamala splaining that was done at that interview, it's not going to hold up on a debate stage if it's done right. Dana Bash provides cover for those people, as John said, who want the cover. They need they need help with the rationalization, but they're game for the rationalization. But it's not going to work on a debate stage if it's done right. And I would do it a little bit differently than what Jordan said. Like, for example, on the border. Oh, no, she's for a border wall now. She talked, I'd sign the bipartisan blah, blah, blah legislation. So I support hundreds of millions of dollars in border wall funding. So if I was Trump, I would say, okay, great. You used to say it was my medieval vanity project. Now, and you would never support funding. Now you say you support funding. I'm so glad you changed your mind. So while we have your attention on the issue, how about joining me in supporting the immediate deportation of adults in this country illegally, beginning with those convicted of crimes here or who are known associates of those transnational criminal organizations you always talk about, like MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. As a former prosecutor, you don't want foreign criminals on American soil, do you? Just as that's a build on some, take her at her word almost, the phony. It's really starting from a premise that she's a phony without saying it. Take it from the premise that her conversion is authentic. Great. You support that now? So we're basically on the same page. We're going in the same direction. So let me bring you along to this next thing and see how far she's willing to go.
Can he do that without butting in and ruining the setup?
Yeah, he's not going to be able to butt in because the mics are going to be muted. That's the good news. Again, coming up at 6:36, we'll move from national corruption to our very own variety here in Chicago. John has penned a piece about his former employer's retrospective on corruption in Chicago and Illinois. We'll talk about it at 6:36.
Don't chuckle.
Now we check the headlines with Crystal Blue.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Crystal Blue in the AM 560 newsroom. Mostly cloudy skies today with a chance of showers, high near 87. The Hard Rock Casino in Rockford is finally open. Governor Pritzker joined Rockford leadership, the Illinois Gaming Board, and stakeholders to officially open the casino yesterday. The new 175,000 square foot casino features 1,300 slot machines, 44 live table games, 6 restaurants, and the Hard Rock Live Theater, which seats up to 2,000 people. The venue has already created 900 new jobs, with 300 more jobs expected with the soon-to-be-constructed hotel. Construction begins next Tuesday on I-39 through LaSalle County. Crews will be patching 36 miles of I-39 in LaSalle County from the Marshall County line to just south of the Lee County line. There will be intermittent lane closures on I-39 throughout the project, which is expected to be completed in November. Chicago is one of the most expensive places to live in the country. U.S. News & World Report rated the Windy City 23rd on their list, with a median home price of $347,200 and a median monthly rent of $1,395. The most costly city is Hartford, Connecticut. News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris will meet on the debate stage for the first time on September 10th. And AM 560 is throwing a debate watch party, and we want you to join us. Join Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and fellow AM 560 560 listeners on Tuesday, September 10th at Moretti's Unique Event in Hoffman Estates for a buffet dinner, followed by the debate. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/debate. That's 560theanswer.com/debate.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RollandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Rollins Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic congresswoman and a former presidential candidate who made it through 5 states in the primaries, has now endorsed Donald Trump. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the most famous living child of the most famous family in the Democratic Party, has also endorsed Donald Trump. Kennedy, of course, was also just running for president. Gabbard had served as the vice chair of the DNC, the position now held by Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. These are prominent endorsements. Both Kennedy and Gabbard can state clearly why they've endorsed Trump, pointing to a Democratic Party that has lost its way, citing the disrespect of elections to the encouragement of censorship. Meanwhile, several self-described Republicans with names nobody has heard of outside their small circles have endorsed Kamala Harris. And yet the media is trying to make much of these non-prominent Republicans for Harris, while they seek to move quickly past Gabbard and a Kennedy endorsing Trump. Makes you think they're taking sides, doesn't it? I'm Seth Leibson.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. Northbound Veterans Memorial Tollway, an overturned car still blocking the left lane after the Army Trail Road Toll Plaza, so we have crews on the scene for that. It's a bit tight. Also, DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound, an accident at North Avenue. 3 left lanes are closed. On the Edens inbound 21 Lake Cook Road to Montrose. Kennedy in 40 from O'Hare into downtown Eisenhower, a 40-minute trip as well. 390 into the post office. Stevenson at 35 Veterans Memorial Tollway into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 25 minutes going in on the Dan Ryan from 95th Street. Express lane showing delays 43rd to the Stevenson. I-57 and the Ford look good. This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. It's Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Get a Sleepy's Queen mattress at the lowest price ever, just $89.99. Offer ends Tuesday, in-store pickup only. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm during their Labor Day sale. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sun and clouds, warm and humid. A thunderstorm could bring some damaging wind. The high today 87. Clear tonight, low 63. Sunny, less humid tomorrow. The high 85. Sunny, nice day on Sunday. The high at 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, John Cass, JohnCassNews.com. I wish I could see a little light, but it's difficult to see it in Chicago. John, we covered this a bit earlier in the week, but I knew you'd want to weigh in on it.
And I did.
This series, your former employer, the Chicago Tribune, is running, detailing the history of political corruption in Chicago and Illinois so they can wring their hands about it and
wag their fingers and say no rueful chuckling.
That's right. That's right.
Pathetic.
That's it's time. We've had just about enough of this business, and we're going to chart a new course. And the mighty Tribune is going to lead the way to a better tomorrow. We're not going back, John.
Because democracy dies in darkness?
Well, I don't know if they...
the wrong paper.
They might as well plagiarize that. I mean,
right.
They support candidates who plagiarize all sorts of things. And not to mention academics, too. Robin DiAngelo, she of White Fragility, has got a little bit of a plagiarism problem. Stealing the work from black scholars. Honky chick to make a lot of money peddling the race hustle. Anyway, I digress. But so you're
digressing from the column.
Your review of your former employer's good work to stand for good government.
You can read it in the I said the wrong thing.
Yeah.
You can read it in JohnCassNews.com. Leftist media hyenas hamstring Amy Jacobson. Quarters Boyle is dead, and Chicago Tribune becomes a combine laughingstock.
John Quarters Boyle and Amy Jacobson. It's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of them in the same sentence, but do explain.
Well, I was working on the story. Quarters dies. I'm checking that out, and then all of a sudden you have your issues with Rick Pearson and the Chicago Tribune, and then Eric Zorn jumps on it, and he's waving his finger at you, and so is Greg Pratt, and the Marxist Union that destroyed the Tribune is waving their fingers at Amy and you, and I thought it was time to weigh in, so I did.
Quarters Boyle, and I forgot about this, but after reading it, his brother was the Torch.
His brother was the Matches.
The
Chicago Fire Department Lieutenant Matches Boyle, who was basically a serial arsonist who was convicted and then demanded his pension, full pension. Now, the thing about Quarters Boyle, he stole $4 million worth of quarters, then got out.
Is that?
And then
a lot of people ask me on the Quarters Boyle thing.
Yeah.
Embezzled. Right, from the Toll Highway Authority. Because he was one of the bagmen who got the money from the machines at the end of the day or the end of the week or whatever.
Who knows? How you doing? Who knows?
Yeah. All right, but
then he was hired by Deli.
Wait. Because a lot of people ask me if this is apocryphal or not. Is it true that the way he got caught was that he was paying for everything in rolls of quarters?
No.
That's not true? So. It should be true.
It should be. And what should be true is that he would be the one to write the finger-wagging editorial for the Chicago Tribune instead of running it past Rick Pearson, who the political editor, which they do. You know, that's one thing. When I worked there for 40 years, I understand how it works. When they're about to endorse a candidate, they run it past the political editor weighs in. And how do I know that? I was the political editor.
Okay.
And I didn't want any part of it. I mean, I wanted it, but you know.
So you were.
I'd rather make more money being a columnist.
You were responsible for whose endorsements then?
None.
Oh.
Like if they were Democrat, because look, I was not a combine guy. I mean, the editor of the Tribune, the managing editor of the Tribune, Dick Ciccone, hired me. I liked him. Good guy. Vietnam veteran and tank commander in Vietnam. Practical person, but he also was a combine guy, and later in life did the PR for Big Bill Cellini. And so if you don't know who the combine is, then you'll never know. And Pearson worked for him, was his guy, and that's how that rolled.
Rick Pearson. This is this Middle Earth dweller who
drunk
and transactional journalist for the Combine.
How do you say that? Just because his wife got a job when he was on the favored list?
Well favors list, yeah. But I mean, and he flacks for Democrats or Republicans who are quislings in bed with Democrats. That's the backstory. I mean, for people, who don't know who Rick Pearson is, which is most of the world, or much care. But I mean that there's a point to this. One of the points for me is the institutional corruption. It's not individuals. It's individuals, yes, of course, but it's institutional.
Yes.
And it includes the press corps, the political press corps in the city and state.
You can't have a corruption affecting the people of Chicago and Illinois without zeroing in on the media. It's like telling me about Democratic politics and Tony Preckwinkle's surprise successes, and you don't mention that her press agent is Lynn Sweet from the Sun-Times. Same thing with Pearson. All these people are involved. I'm not saying that they're making money, but they are part of the team.
Well, and we've talked about this before, too, and a lot of them, when they stop making money in quote-unquote media organizations, they wind up working for Dem politicians.
Like Dick Ciccone.
Well, there's an example. So, I mean, part of this...
Republican politics.
Well, so right. I mean, right. But, yeah, Combine, as you say. But so that's one of the things. We always focus on the individual, the salacious story. They're out after adult Mayor Tiffany Henyard right now. And this is, I mean, I'm not defending Tiffany Henyard. She's been an embarrassment. But I mean, all hands on deck for Dalton. This is called low-hanging fruit. And this is what they do, and they've got them all enlisted in that Tribune piece too, with the idiot alderman du jour who takes a $500 bribe, and everybody's got wired up, and then the FBI can go on there, they got a scalp, and the press can wring their hands, and everybody's it's terrible. Everybody can walk away from that guy like they're not doing that or much worse. And it's the whole thing is a scam. The whole thing is a scam. And the point is to say that until you have better schools and better local media organizations, you're not going to have a better state.
Look, Jeannie Ives pointed this out during a tweet of hers. The Tribune was a joke by wagging its finger and writing editorials. They ignored Barack Obama's corruption. They ignored Governor Fat Boy's toilets, Governor Commodius Maximus Miracle toilets. They go after old Irish guys who can't hurt them now, old men in their 80s. And the city falls apart. And you know who they protect? The architects of failure, Tony Preckwinkle, Kim Fox, the CTU's Stacey Davis Gates, and Brandon Johnson. They skate away, the city burns, and the Tribune is left. I don't know who reads them anymore. I really don't. I don't. I listened to you, so then when this started, I had to go back and actually read it.
Yeah, but these are the legacy house organs for the legacy political leaders that tell beautiful lies to these ankle biting, thumb sucking, lobotomized leftists that populate Chicago and the suburbs. So I mean,
but they're all on Twitter now screaming that they want Amy's head.
Yeah.
They want your head, and I suppose they want my head. So I don't care. But that's it. You don't care. I don't care. But you know what? Let people in on the secret. Amy cares. She cares. Her heart's broken on this. I'm not trying to make her sympathetic figure, but that's the truth. And all she wanted to do was coach volleyball.
Well, you have to go where your talents are appreciated.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just how it is. And the world now is like this, especially the culture and in places that are more dominated by the left, or particularly dominated by the left, and really concentrated beyond what sort of operational control they have of the culture nationally. So a place like Chicago. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's World War Z, these sort of brainless zombies that are just run around in mob formation looking for brains to eat.
And that's
what they do.
These people know how to manipulate the zombies. So they do. So they direct them to attack en masse.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Well, part of it is, I mean, I love the Brittany Mahomes, Pat Mahomes' wife. She got, she was getting all sorts of static from these same mindless zombies looking to eat brains.
What did she do? Pick a beagle up by the ears?
She liked the Trump platform that was posted on Instagram. She liked it. So she's got profile. Somebody saw it. Oh my God! Right. You must be a Nazi and all the typical things. And
angry white chicks, yeah.
And she fired back. She's not afraid, and she talked about it a little bit in a podcast sit down.
Yeah, I think we kind of got thrown into the fire together, and I think that's what's helped us, do so well in the life that we are, is that we did it all together. And he is a lot better at it than I am, maybe because his dad played professional sports. So I think he was around it and he understood it a lot more than I did. So having him to help me get through it has helped a lot, because he's very good at, managing those things and blocking people out and doing all that type of stuff. So having him beside me, kind of guiding me and coaching me through it, has helped a ton. And I think that's kind of how we've gotten to where we're at now.
What's been like a piece of advice that's helped you manage all of it?
I think the main thing that, he always told me is, stop caring about what people think, especially the people that don't even know you. And so I think social media used to get to me a lot, and now it's just honestly, I don't give a what people have to say about me anymore. And I think he's helped me get to that point to where, I'm strong in who I am, I'm confident in who I am, I'm confident in mine and his relationship, and I'm confident in our life. So why does, what other people say have to matter at all?
Precisely.
I don't like the use of the language, though. I think if people, a young lady, beautiful young lady like Mrs. Mahomes would say, I don't give 2 figs.
2 figs.
I would much rather.
Yes, that is popular with the kids. I don't give 2 figs. Thanks, Grandpa.
Bye, Cracky.
I like Pat Mahomes and Brittany Mahomes even more now, and I'm going to overlook the fact that they hang out with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, which I can't tolerate. I'm going to overlook that. But no, that's the thing, right? Why do you care what people you don't know or care about and who don't know what they're talking about say? But it's difficult. People like to be liked. They don't like to be pilloried. And this is what you see. This is why this happens over and over again. Even the little thing with Brittany Mahomes. So why it happens is because, just like we've talked about ad nauseum, the BLM protests in Ferguson. We have as a culture taught people that the way that you get what you want and the way that you win debates is by targeting people that you don't like and using any means necessary to jackpot them, then bum rush them, and everyone or anything, any entity in their circle or that has a relationship, has a relationship, and here's the thing: most people are weak, and they'll cave, and that's what they're counting on, because, well, hey, let's just go along with these brainless zombie mobsters because we just want them to leave us alone. So that's how it goes.
As I've said before to your face and publicly, when they came after me, there were 3 people who stood up. You, Tom Bevan of Real Clear Politics, and Charles Lipson, the great Charles Lipson, professor, and others. But those were the first 3, and you need them. And people who are isolated in this culture, who are attacked, the idea is, as the Jacobins said, as Voltaire quoted, to encourage the others, right?
Yes, right.
So it's all about, not me, but it's about silencing those of you out there who are out there listening.
And some people are too big to be canceled, quote unquote, too big to be canceled, like Dave Chappelle and stuff. But it doesn't mean that these mindless zombie mobsters shouldn't be combated, even if they go after somebody who's a big star and is sort of beyond real cancellation, because of what you just said. That works in both directions.
Correct.
Set an example so that the others see it, that there is going to be pushback and you're not just going to roll over. But I mean, there's no reasoning with these people. They're not interested in evidence. They're not interested or perhaps capable of logical thinking. So it really is basically you have to slam the door on them. And if you don't, then they go to the next house.
You have to mock them. And the people out there have to realize that why we have to mock them.
Well, I don't want to get into too much, but I mean, just the example with me and this nonprofit that I was a part of. I mean, just saying the logic. So the mistake that I made on the show with respect to Walz's son. So I get kicked off this board, but nobody thinks that. Well, but I was on that board. So how was I on that board for the last decade? Do you ever think? So what was I doing on that board? So there's but that's sort of like logical analysis. Is just first of all, they're not interested, and secondly, most of them are probably not capable.
You're not going to get any consideration about the hundreds of thousands of dollars you raised for the special needs or the money you wrote. Personal checks.
Yeah, and I don't.
They're not gonna. I know. Mention it.
And I don't. I mean, and I think like I'm. Bobby Knight School. I think philanthropy should mostly be private. I'm not looking for plaudits for that. But it's just. It's more the logical things. Like the World War Z zombies are all over me. But they can't think. But outside people, if they could get over their fear factor, I mean, does this make sense to you?
No. Do you expect?
Right?
Do you expect Eric Zorn and?
No, I don't. But
all these people?
the same show. I mean, that was talking about issues of this sort on behalf of people with special needs for the last decade. Well, actually, 15 years if you include my time at WLS. There's the show that platforms and really push the story to get much more notoriety. Of that boy who was pushed around in the bathroom at York High School. That was our show that did that. But so it's not.
Or to talk about the selective reduction of kids with chromosome issues, right?
Yes. Well, that too. Anyway, Maurice and Berwyn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan, I'll make it quick. It's just unfortunate that no one can give anyone the benefit of the doubt. I'm the first one to give you credit for your focusing on the issues of schools in the inner city and separating you from your politics and just say, okay, hey, the guy made a joke. If he's not like the joke, but look at the work he's done.
And apologize.
People just need to, hey, it was an off-color joke. My God. I think in today's world, people just can't wrap their brains around that people are complex and that they have different viewpoints of things. You and Amy made a joke, my God. And it's unfortunate that as I look at the half point of life, younger people find it baffling that one of the reasons why I listen to your show, one of my really good friends is like a Republican. And that was, oh my God, how can you be friends with him? Well, he and I have known each other for almost 30-something years. right?
Yeah, and Maurice, you should tell the person who says, "How can you be friends with him?" You never know. That guy could wind up being in Kamala's cabinet. She said she's going to appoint a Republican to her cabinet.
But life is complex, and I think maybe it's this anti-intellectualism of America people keep talking about. But it's very unfortunate. I wish things could swing to a middle, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But it's unfortunate, right? People make mistakes. So hang in there, buddy.
Thanks for the call, Maurice. I do appreciate it. Coming up at 7:07, we'll return to the presidential race when Gerard Baker of the Wall Street Journal joins.
Next question, please. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Vice President Kamala Harris dismissing former President Trump's suggestion that she turned black for political reasons. It's her first interview as the Democrats' presidential nominee.
The vice president sitting down with CNN with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The interview focused largely on policy as the vice president sought to show that she had adopted more moderate positions like on fracking.
I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
Courtesy of CNN, the vice president saying the most important aspect of her policy perspective and decisions is her values have not changed. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Former President Trump on social media posts about the interview, boring. The former president in La Crosse, Wisconsin, saying he wants to expand access to in vitro fertilization.
We want more babies, to put it very nicely. And for this same reason, we will also allow new parents to deduct major newborn expenses from their taxes.
Fox's Garrett Tenney.
Reproductive rights have become one of the top issues for voters this election, particularly among women in battleground states. And President Trump has been trying to walk a fine line with his policy proposals for a second term by trying to win over more suburban women without alienating his pro-life supporters. Democrats have tried to make IVF an issue as well. In Michigan and then again at his town hall here in Wisconsin, Trump pushed back on that by announcing that his administration would not only protect access to IVF, he would mandate that either insurance companies or the government cover the cost of it for all Americans.
Former president, meantime, says he believes the 6-week abortion ban on the ballot in his home state, Florida, is too short. Israel's military agrees to pauses in the fighting in Gaza for United Nations Children's polio vaccine drive. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 75 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Crystal Blue in the AM 560 newsroom. Mostly cloudy skies today with a chance of showers, high near 87. A woman is dead after she was shot while fleeing from 2 armed individuals on Chicago's South Side. Police say 2 women were sitting in a car yesterday in the 7,000 block of South Vernon Avenue when 2 unknown males approached with guns. The woman driving the vehicle sped away, and one offender fired a shot that hit her in the head. The victim was pronounced dead at the hospital. Detectives are investigating the incident. A former University of Chicago student is accused of making bombs in his dorm room. Aaron Brunson faces multiple federal charges. Prosecutors say the Newton, Massachusetts man engaged in a scheme to conceal his efforts to develop bomb-making skills after he triggered an explosion in his dorm room at the University of Chicago last year. An investigation revealed that Brunson was seeking to engage in revolutionary action and terrorism in support of Armenian causes. The 21-year-old is believed to be living in Armenia and attending the American University there. The Chicago Transit Authority is using new artificial intelligence gun detection technology to improve security. The CTA has launched a pilot implementation of an AI-based technology that utilizes existing security cameras to specifically monitor for and alert security officials to firearms. The new system is designed to combat incidents of crime on and near CTA properties. The technology has already been implemented by other major transit agencies, as well as schools and Chicago's Navy Pier. Some lanes in Illinois that have been closed for construction will reopen for the Labor Day weekend to minimize travel disruption. Non-emergency closures will be suspended beginning this afternoon through late Monday night. Drivers are urged to pay close attention to signs and work zones, obey the posted speed limits, refrain from using mobile devices, stay alert for workers and equipment, buckle up, and drive sober. News is brought to you by Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka explains the Democrats in 2024.
Maybe the people in the middle, if they watch it, if they can understand what they're seeing, they'll get who the Democrat Party have become. It's not JFK's party, it's not Scoop Jackson's party, it is a party of America hating un-American losers.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads, beginning with an accident southbound DuSable Lakeshore Drive at North Avenue. 3 left lanes are taken out. Traffic starts backing up all the way from Fullerton. Beyond that, on Lakeshore Drive, it's pretty quiet. Inbound Eden, 30 minutes. Lake Cook Road to Montrose. The Kennedy is an hour to get into downtown from O'Hare. On the Eisenhower, 45, 390 into the post office. Stevenson travel time 40, Veterans Memorial Tollway into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. On the Ryan, 35 minutes inbound, express type 43rd to the Stevenson. Outbound, an accident at Canalport in the left lane. Heavy conditions inbound Ford Cottage Grove into the Dan Ryan, and then eastbound Jane Addams slowing into the Fox River Bridge, crash right lane. Traffic is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock. All day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at Dan and Amy 247.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and some sun and thunderstorm. It'll be humid. Thunderstorms could bring some damaging wind today, high 87. Clear tonight, low 63. Sunny, less humid day tomorrow, and the high 85. And then sunny, very nice day on Sunday, the high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, John Cass.
The lovely John Cass.
You just stepped over me trying to market your product for you. JohnCassNews.com. Now you can call yourself lovely.
I am lovely.
All right. All right, John. So last night, as we've been discussing intermittently all morning, Dana Bash scored that big interview. She got a presidential candidate to talk to the press. Wow.
Can you imagine being selected for that?
It's a high honor, and Dana Bash behaved like it was, minding her P's and Q's. The Bidenomics issue, how things are going there. She sort of gave a long-winded, bizarre answer.
Feelings?
About how she's going to respond to prices being higher for things like groceries and gas and housing.
Without saying the words price control?
Trying to explain what her opportunity economy is going to look like and how it's going to be engendered to get back to where we were, even though I know we're not going back. We're charting a new way forward and all that directional rap. But just on the issue, so after her vamping on the issue of her opportunity economy that she's going to create day one. A simple question. So if Biden's this great president and you guys have done such great work that you're going to build on, then would you call it a success?
She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
So is that a yes? It was a success? Gerard Baker is editor-at-large of the Wall Street Journal, author of American Breakdown, Why We No Longer Trust Our Leaders and Institutions and How We Can Rebuild Our Confidence. Why We No Longer Trust Our Leaders. That interview last night might need to be an appendix. Gerard Baker, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan and John. Pleasure to be with you.
So were you persuaded about Bidenomics after that defense of it of sorts?
I mean, look, I think obviously not. It was striking that she didn't, that was the one moment I thought where Dana Bash, for a moment, almost had an interesting question and almost an interesting exchange. If she'd followed up, it would have been actually valuable, but as so often throughout the interview, she didn't follow up because it was clear that Harris, as it has become clear in the last month since she's been the nominee, doesn't want to be associated with Bidenomics. She kind of wants to run away from it. She was given an opportunity there to say Bidenomics has been a success. That is, after all the administration of which she's been a part for the last 4 years. And she dodged the question and wasn't really allowed to, wasn't given, unfortunately, another opportunity to explain what her views are about Bidenomics. Look, Dan, I think the main takeaway, I don't think this was a big deal either way. I mean, it's absolutely insane that this Kamala Harris does an interview becomes a kind of national moment. This is it's like the Super Bowl. It comes once a year, and everybody's watching to see whether their team wins. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous that we've had to go through this. And I'm guessing now that'll probably be it for at least. For the rest, maybe the rest of the campaign.
Well, they have to be exhausted after that 30 minutes. I mean.
Yeah, the whole setting was weird too, and I thought having a support animal along, how people have described him, Walz, was a bit. It didn't strike me. It didn't look like a support animal. The whole thing looked to me. If you turn the volume down, as I did when I watched it back. For part of it, it looked like a couple going along for a marriage counselling session. and a little bit. It was like, well, Tim, what do you think? Have you maybe been? What are you going to bring to this? Are you actually going to do anything? And Tim sat there, very, arms, hands folded, trying to be nice and sort of. Look, I think I don't think it's going to make a big. By the way, I do think it was revealing in this sense, which is that we saw, to me, the most interesting point of the whole thing was that very first question she got when she was asked a question, which if you want to be president of the United States, you must have thought about this topic 1,000 times, and you must know what the answer is. She was asked, what will you do on day one?
Right.
And she gave this rambling, cliche. I always think she speaks like, I wrote this recently, that she speaks like, someone from California in the 1970s who's on their sort of fourth or fifth draw into their bong, and says this, weird kind of verbal sort of nonsense. And it was just a series of opportunity economy and helping the middle class and. It's been a decade of tough times and all this kind of, to me that said so much because it said she does, and I think this is true of Kamala Harris, she does not have the basic intellectual equipment to understand what it is to be president of the United States and to have a sense of what she wants to do as president of the United States. And that just was, in that first question, the only question in a way that really matters, what are you going to do if you're president? She didn't have an answer. She did not have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's somebody described it. Just words come out of her mouth in no particular order. The order doesn't matter so much as sort of the vibe, right? Which is what we were treated to.
Well, she doesn't read
during the DNC. It's all the vibe. It's the joy, and somebody is joyful when they constantly tell you how joyful they are.
Yeah. That was the other thing about last night, by the way. It was remarkably lacking in joy. I think it did, again, I'm sorry to sort of labor the point about the kind of marriage counseling session, but it did look like two people who were, who had a problem and were kind of sort of trying to get it resolved. And it looks, I think, interestingly, by the way, I think she's been told to cut the cackle. Because it's funny. We've been told that drawing attention to the cackle is sort of sexist and terrible, and it's just
racist.
A sign of how how racist too, how joyful she is, and it's wonderful that she laughs like that. But I think her handlers have obviously realised it's a problem. So there was nothing last. I don't think we may have had one little smile and that sort of one weird bit where she started to suggest she was going to tell some really interesting story about the day that Joe Biden announced he was going to resign, and then told us that she was just making bacon for her children. Which, by the way, as a Jewish friend of mine pointed out, that's another question mark about Doug Emhoff there. But I mean, look, that was that she came close to kind of giving a little smile and a little kind of winsome. Little giggle there, but she's cut that out, which I do think is quite telling, because I think they do realize that just makes her look crazy.
And yet, the Wall Street Journal poll out yesterday that she maintains a narrow lead over Trump. I mean, I'm not making too much of it. It's national numbers in a state-by-state campaign. But it's less so the head-to-head, which basically makes the thing a dead heat, certainly within the margin of error, including the battleground states, most of them. But that 84% of those surveyed said they have enough information to formulate a hardened opinion of her, and 49% like her and 49% don't, which is better numbers than Trump. But I mean, really, half the country thinks they have enough information on her. They should at this point, and half the country says, "Yeah, I like what I'm picking up from Kamala Harris."
I mean, look, we don't really have enough information about Kamala Harris. I mean, this is what obviously this is the fundamental reality.
We don't even know if she worked at McDonald's or not, or if she's telling a story like Joe Biden.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out what the truth about that. But she supposedly Yeah, the milkshake queen. Look, I mean,
fries,
I
Jerry.
don't know. Sorry?
It was fries.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, sorry, it was fries. You're right. It was fries. I beg your pardon.
Because those are the
Look,
easiest.
I think that the fact that we don't know enough about her is exactly the Democrat strategy, right? I mean, that's why. First of all, it's why she's doing relatively well in the polls, because people, and Dan, you and I have discussed this before. People are not enthusiastic about Donald Trump either. So somebody else comes along who isn't Joe Biden, and it's like, yeah, I'll give this person a chance. But the whole idea of the Democrats is that we don't have information. I mean, we're not going to get information about what she thinks and what she does, because they know that if she was really we'd discover one or two things. If she was really grilled in a proper interview, or maybe Trump will for once be able to do it in a debate, we would learn that she's either essentially basically nothing, that there's nothing there, it's completely vacuous, or deep down maybe somewhere she is that sort of San Francisco progressive that that she used to be until about a month ago, that we've seen so much, that we saw in 2019 and that we saw before that when she was a senator. So, I mean, that's the point, that we don't know enough about her, and we're not going to be told anything about her if they can get away with it.
What do we know about CNN? Because I ask you to put yourself in the role of manager, and one of your reporters is being selected to do the friendly Kamala Harris interview. What would you tell that person? And would you just basically stop them if you cared about them? You'd say, no, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's like that old line of Groucho Marxism about I wouldn't join any club that would have me as a member. The fact that you've been marked out for someone who is the right person to do that job maybe means you shouldn't be doing that job. Look, to be fair to Dana Bash, she did a pretty good job in that debate, the most famous debate in history now, on June 27th, when she did ask pretty straight questions of Joe Biden, which got him into his mess. And she did ask again. She had this is what was frustrating about last night. She had the right first question on several occasions. That very first question, the question to Tim Walz about his making stuff up, or his fabrications about his military and his other backgrounds, or asking her why she had stopped being opposed to stopped being opposed to fracking on some of the other issues. So this is the situation. Obviously, Kamala and Harris have prepared this one word, this simple response to that first question. But what matters then is the follow-up, where they're not prepared, and you push them harder on that, and she just didn't do that time and time and time again.
Well, right, because that wasn't the point. The point was to do debate prep, and let's get these answers that we formulated out there and see how the public reacts to them, so that we can use them or discard them and come up with new ones. So let's see if the public buys my values haven't changed as the global explanation for her 180s.
Yeah, look, the first question should have been, honestly, and I really thought she might go there, but I guess it was ruled out, should have been, look, Madam Vice President, you're the candidate for president. It's the first interview you've done as the candidate for president. Why do we have to have the vice presidential nominee here? Why can't we just have a one-on-one with you? I mean, that was, now as it happened, Tim Walz didn't get many saying those things. No. But he was clearly there, as a kind of relief. It was a little bit like a tag team, right? When in that professional wrestling, when someone's in the ring and supposedly getting a bit of a hammering, so you can release the pressure by turning to the other one, and that's what she did.
Were they holding hands?
The role that Tim Walz played.
I don't think they held hands during this.
Yeah, well, Coach Walz, it's almost like they want to present him as, well, definitely this Midwestern everyman who's going to be sort of like the commonsensical, no-nonsense, steady hand to make sure that everything is buttoned up a little bit.
Yeah, look, it's all part of this fiction. I mean, forgive me for self-referencing, but I wrote my column this week about just just how deceptive the Democrats are. That convention we saw last week was just, classic, left-wing Democrats. They disguise themselves as mainstream, patriotic Americans who love the country and love its values and love what it stands for, and don't have any, really, you can trust them because they're not going to do anything kind of radical or strange. and then they get into office and they do very radical progressive things. It happened with Obama, it happened with Joe Biden, and it will happen with Kamala Harris. And I think that Tim Walz, to me, is the perfect model of that. And, again, I said in my column this week, he's the sort of absolute sort of poster child of this. Here he is, the coach Walz, the regular guy from the Midwest who looks after the team, and everybody loves him, and he's just the kind of guy who would clear snow from your driveway in the winter and all this kind of stuff. But he's actually, look at his record in Minnesota. He's got one of the most radical left-wing records of any state in the country, and that's the deception, that's the trick the Democrats are going to try and play. And you ask the question, will it work? Well, it's worked before, so it probably will work again.
We shall see. Gerard Baker, editor-at-large, Wall Street Journal, author of American Breakdown, Why We No Longer Trust Our Leaders and Institutions, and How We Can Rebuild Confidence. American Breakdown is the book by Gerard Baker. Gerard, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Annie joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Honey, have you seen our roof after that storm last night? I think we need to call someone.
Don't worry, we got the shingle company on speed dial.
But I keep hearing in the news recently how dangerous sloped roofs can be. Our home in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point.
Well, the shingle company isn't afraid of any sloped roofs. Their safety record is spotless, their warranty unmatched, and they offer a low-price apples-to-apples guarantee. Besides, it costs us nothing to get a quote.
The Shingle Company, your local roofing experts who handle even the steepest of slopes with ease. Whether it's residential or commercial roofing, they've got you covered. With 3 generations of building experience, they're also experts in siding, gutters, windows, and more.
I am so glad we called them, and I can't believe our insurance covered practically the whole project.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Plus, I love that they're proud supporters of AM 560.
Visit the Shingle Company today at shingleco.com. Again, that's shingleco.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Testosterone, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SERVE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text SERVE to 42424. That's SERVE to 42424.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Summer is here, which is the ideal time to let the sunshine in and brighten up the house. Make those rooms that may appear small, dark, or dingy look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors. Our highly skilled installers can enlarge openings if your space allows. For decades, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Marvin replacement windows and doors can also bring your backyard right into your living space. Ask us about connecting the inside to the outside. Since 1969, our professional services, along with the best products and installation, are why we are proud of our great online reviews. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps. Hurry in! It's the Labor Day sales event at Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Lockport. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Choose from over 700 new vehicles. Showroom open 24/7 at cdjroflockport.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, fact-checking the fact-checkers with Drew Holden, Washington Free Beacon. That's 7:37. Now we check the headlines with Crystal Blue.
Good morning. It's 76 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Crystal Blue in the AM 560 newsroom. Mostly cloudy skies today with a chance of showers, high near 87. A second person is charged in a deadly shooting last month in Springfield. Police say Sammy McClinton was gunned down July 25th in the 700 block of North 5th Street. Officers arrested Keandra Daniels yesterday for conspiracy to commit murder and conspiracy to commit aggravated battery. She is the sister of Stephen Woolridge, who was previously charged with murder and aggravated battery with a firearm. Authority believes Woolridge shot and killed McClinton after a dispute between the two. Mayor Brandon Johnson is painting a dire financial picture for Chicago. Johnson says the city's budget office projects a nearly $1 billion budget gap for 2025, along with a $223 million budget deficit for this year. The gaps are largely driven by rising personnel, pension, and contractual costs, as well as a decrease in specific revenue streams. The mayor hasn't ruled out breaking his campaign promise of raising property taxes to fill the 2025 gap. University of Illinois building and food service workers could be headed for a strike next month. The union workers voted down the latest contract proposal from the university. The group voted to go on strike on July 24th, and barring new contract proposals, the work stoppage could begin as soon as September 15th. News is brought to you by Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. That's bluestarsecurityllc.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris will meet on the debate stage for the first time on September 10th. And AM 560 is throwing a debate watch party, and we want you to join us. Join Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and fellow AM 560 listeners on Tuesday, September 10th at Moretti's Unique Events in Hoffman Estates for a buffet dinner, followed by the debate. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/debate. That's 560theanswer.com/debate.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility, and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. Southbound Tri-State, an accident blocking all lanes. After Route 21 solid from 132, it's only getting by on the left shoulder. Again, avoid that if you can. Then we have delays eastbound Jane Addams Randall to the Fox River Bridge with an accident on the right shoulder. Westbound Jane Addams, an overturned car at Elmhurst. DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound at North Avenue, an accident there blocking the left lane as well. On the inbound Edens, 40 minutes, Lake Cook Road to Montrose. Kennedy in from O'Hare to downtown. That checks in hour and 15. Stevenson at 45, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And the inbound Ryan is a half hour, 95th on in. Traffic is a service of the Shingle Company. We've all heard about the dangers of climbing sloped roofs lately. Well, you can rest easy with the pros at the Shingle Company, your unafraid sloped roof experts. Contact them at shingleco.com, that's shingleco.com, and inquire about their low price guarantee today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and some sun and thunderstorm. It'll be humid. Thunderstorms could bring some damaging wind today, high 87. Clear tonight, low 63. Sunny, less humid day tomorrow, and the high 85. And then sunny, very nice day on Sunday, the high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in framing this morning, John Cass, JohnCassNews.com.
Where you always get a good cup of common sense.
That's right. His columns, the Chicago Way podcast. Sign up today. Get a subscription for a friend.
And read all about the hyenas at the Tribune.
That's right. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the program. I wanted to fold in some other issues that were not tackled last night, which is most of them, by Dana Bash, who I believe Russia Today is prepared to make her the highest paid journalist in the world after that performance.
She besmirched her position and her name.
Some other issues, though, too, just in terms of the Kamala vault. Kamala was one of the first Pauls to call for Trump's Twitter account to be suspended. Then this is still there. This lives in infamy, like her Jussie Smollett tweet. Let's be honest, real Donald Trump's Twitter account should be suspended. September 30th of 2019, I should say.
Right.
And that's sort of a big issue these days, as we see one tech CEO arrested in France. We see rank and file British citizens being arrested for allegedly hateful social media posts that are basically just protesting government policy and the results of said government policy, like the stabbing deaths of children. We see politicians of all sorts in the West promoting the prosecution of Elon Musk, civilly, criminally, combination of the two. So, I mean, free speech and a free press are both issues that really are on the ballot this election in a way that they haven't been previously. And so it was interesting, speaking of Walz, Pavel Durov, who is the CEO of Telegram, arrested by Macron and company in France, who's now out on $5 million bail. Too bad he didn't get arrested in Chicago. No cash bail. Anyway, something that he said in an interview he did with Leslie Stahl back in the day about the tension between privacy and security. If we were perhaps a more serious electorate, we would be having a serious discussion of this sort.
Is there anything in your mind that says, gee, we have to allow law enforcement to get in because what's going on is just unacceptable?
You know, the interesting thing about encryption is that it cannot be secure just for some people.
ISIS and other terrorist groups, they just push a button on an application like yours, specifically yours, an application, and it's gone around the world like that.
Well, again, this is the world of technology, and it's impossible to stop them at this point. ISIS could come up with their own messaging solution within a month or so if they wanted to, because You
mean create their own Telegram?
Exactly.
Since Paris, Durov has been purging ISIS propaganda from Telegram, but says if asked to unlock any private messages, he would tell the authorities that the encryption code makes it mathematically impossible, using a similar argument as Apple. So you're basically saying that even if you wanted to, your hands are tied.
Yes.
You can't do it.
We cannot.
So this is one of the great debates of our time. Which is more important? Is it more important to shut down this kind of terrorism or preserve privacy?
I'm personally for the privacy side, but one thing that should be clear is that you cannot make just one exception for law enforcement without endangering private communications of hundreds of millions of people, because encryption is either secure or not.
Privacy versus security.
Can you make an exception, he said? I didn't.
You cannot make an exception. Either private communications are private and secured, or they're are not. I mean, when he's talking about specifically the encryption feature.
Unless your child is going to the Taylor Swift concert. I mean, ask the question in real terms. What would you do if it was your kid and you wanted to protect her? That's what you would ask him.
Well,
and I know that it's a serious issue and there shouldn't be any exemptions, but still.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with it too.
Well, privacy versus security, particularly in the, you have to look at this in a sober way with the kind of ruling classes we have in the West, political ruling classes.
Haven't we already decided this anyway with the expansion of 9/11, with the Patriot Act and so forth?
Well, this is the direction the state is forever going, and the point is that now you have an outlier, one of a few outliers like Telegram, and the encryption feature protects communications from prying state eyes. And now Durov is to be held accountable. And interestingly, in that 60 Minutes piece, they talked about trying to remove ISIS propaganda from Telegram. So he was actively taking a role in trying to curate the content. And now he's under arrest in France for allegedly being party. Well, his culpability is you didn't have to be a material participant in any sort of illegal scheme that was communicated on Telegram. Just the fact of allowing people to communicate about an illegal scheme necessarily implicates the platform provider. Well, that's the end of free speech. That's the end of free thought. And so, questions about, and by the way, so bringing this back around, when Kamala Harris wants Donald Trump removed from Twitter because whatever, I mean, this is, there's an attitude that is being exemplified here. And by the way, speaking of law enforcement, our great protectors, federal law enforcement, as well as our international, our internationally oriented spy agency. As I said, you have to take a sober look at what these institutions actually are, how they operate in the real world today. Michael Schellenberger, independent journalist.
Yes.
One of the few of those, too. Schellenberger had posted this riff about the Zuckerberg letter that came out earlier this week, where he finally admitted in a very carefully worded letter what we've all known for years about the FBI's pressuring him, essentially the deep state pressuring him to censor content for the purposes of advancing the Biden electoral interests in 2020. Listen to Schellenberger. And think about this again, privacy versus security. These are the agencies that are going to keep us secure in the homeland and America secure in the international arena. Really?
Zuckerberg's letter went further than what he told Joe Rogan in 2022 because he specifically mentioned Burisma, the Ukrainian natural gas company that Hunter Biden worked for. Zuckerberg wrote, "The FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the lead up to the 2020 election. Nobody at the FBI has gone to prison or even been properly investigated for their crimes. And yet the evidence shows that the CIA and FBI broke the Wiretap Act and the Hatch Act of 1939, which prohibits the federal employees from using their official authority or influence to interfere with or affect the outcome of an election. First, the FBI violated the Wiretap Act when it misused information it had obtained from spying on Rudy Giuliani. The FBI knew that the New York Post story about the Hunter Biden laptop would be coming out because it was listening to Giuliani's telephone calls. The Wiretap Act, formerly known as Title III of the Omnibus Crime and Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968, requires that information obtained through a wiretap can only be used for purposes directly related to the investigation for which the wiretap was authorized. Misusing or improperly disclosing this information can result in criminal penalties for the individuals involved, and the evidence obtained can be excluded from court proceedings. The FBI both misused and improperly disclosed the information. Second, the FBI spread disinformation, information it knew to be false, in order to interfere in the election.
Yes.
The FBI warned Facebook, Twitter, and others that forthcoming information about Burisma and Biden was Russian disinformation. The FBI knew that the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't Russian disinformation because it already had the laptop in its possession for 10 months and was spying on Giuliani. The FBI knew that the laptop was what it appeared to be, something obtained by a computer repair store owner after Hunter Biden brought it in and never came back for it.
So the FBI and the CIA both committed crimes, is what Schellenberger's alleging, and obviously nobody's been held accountable or even investigated. This is years after we know that the head of DNI at the time, James Clap on, Clap off, James Clapper, he with the illegal metadata collection that he lied about before a congressional committee.
To Congress.
So I'm supposed to give up my privacy because these agencies and individuals are going to keep me secure, especially when they find out what my politics are. You know, they're the same agencies that keep that want to track people who attend, Catholics who attend the Latin Mass, or a pro-life activist who protected his son outside of a clinic from an abortion mill from somebody who was essentially acting in a threatening manner towards his minor son. I mean, privacy versus security in the West as it's currently constituted, privacy every time for me. For more on this and other matters, Drew Holden joins us. He writes at his Substack, Holden Court. I see what he did there. DrewHolden.substack.com is that Substack page. Drew, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys having me on.
I know you did this fact-checking of the fact-checkers and the professional prevaricators, which is very good. But I mean, just, you know, you're in this arena, so you understand this. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to have, frankly, conservatives push a real privacy versus security discussion, because I think it would redound to the benefit of Republicans if they took a little bit more of a libertarian perspective, given how the federal government operates.
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, when I was listening to you guys talk earlier, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, you know, the people who get to determine under a system that leans a little bit more towards the favor of law enforcement here, the people who get to decide what is an offensive type of material are not people who seem to share our interests, right? I spend a lot of time writing about, you know, different issues that the media has called Russian propaganda, or the media has called misinformation or disinformation or conspiracy theories, and the way that those alleged conspiracy theories end up proven true with enough time and enough evidence and enough digging, right? You look at something like the idea that COVID leaked from a lab in Wuhan was a conspiracy theory. There are people who were kicked off social media platforms, Twitter, X, Facebook, for just suggesting these sorts of things, right? And so I think despite a not particularly libertarian disposition otherwise, I hear these sorts of things and I think, man, the ISIS propaganda stuff that's an easy one, right? Like I get why they talk about that one so much, because it's like, okay, that's pretty cut and dry. But what happens the next time that there's something that the media tells us is a conspiracy theory that isn't, and we ought to talk about it? Is that going to get me investigated? Could a President Kamala Harris decide that that's some sort of violation of my internet rights? Maybe, and maybe these sorts of things, given the latitude to progress in that direction, I think could have really dangerous consequences for conservatives.
Well, right. I mean, that's the thing is, this is a civics lesson here. Once you destroy institutions and destroy people's confidence in them, well, don't expect them to defer to those institutions that you've destroyed, and that this is where we're at, right? I mean, yes,
exactly. It's a question of trust.
Yeah,
right. Fundamentally, it's a question of trust. And yeah, Brett, you mentioned the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Right.
That's a really good reason not to trust the media, the way that they covered the Hunter Biden laptop story. But leveling up from that, it's a really, really good reason not to trust organizations like the FBI and the CIA, right? Like, these should be explosive, unbelievable claims about the role that they played to cover up. And don't forget, this was right before the election. And the role that they played to tip the scales for the man who ended up winning the presidency should frighten any free-thinking person, any right-thinking person. And the fact that it doesn't, I think I find jarring. And it unfortunately, I think that's kind of the self-replicating cycle here is, whatever. They were listening to Rudy Giuliani. What's the big deal? Like, this is the big deal. The consequences of it are the big deal.
That business of I have nothing to hide, look at my phone, go ahead, CIA, FBI. Why haven't the Republicans made this an issue that you and Dan have argued for? Why haven't they made it an issue that way?
That's a good question. I mean, my knee-jerk reaction, and I guess probably my fear more than anything, is that, for too long, I think the Republican Party has been really wedded to corporate interests, and there are a lot of mixed-up corporate interests here. That obviously not the tech companies, because they have the interest on the side of personal safety and security, and the lack of access to that information. But I worry that in some ways it's just too hot a stove to touch sometimes. And that there's a lot of forces, be they corporate, be they media, that are just arrayed against the idea that we should be secure in our communication.
Well, and there's also,
I'd be curious to hear what you,
there's also the default position of being supportive of law enforcement, of the FBI, of our spy our spy agency, the CIA, and this is what you get too. It's Comey or it's Wray, but it's the leadership at the rank and file. Well, that may all be well and good, but the leadership is the ball game, and if if it's corrupted, then the institution is corrupted, and so. And it seems to me this is such an opportunity. Just going back to that Kamala tweet, you pulled Donald Trump off Twitter. Well, she is a dilettante. She's exactly the sort of person that you will backdoor, or at minimum backdoor her way into fascistic crackdowns on constitutional rights, because it's popular, because the online mob is whipped up to do it, because the spy agencies give you or the law enforcement give you a cover story about our national security or domestic tranquility. I mean, she's exactly the sort of cipher that would do something, this severe.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point about the ability of conservatives to grab this point and run with it, because I think that's exactly right. Like the people who are our opponents in this case are absolutely the type of kind of I don't want to be crass, but useful idiots who can absolutely advance the interests of the spy agencies or whomever. And I think we've seen that since 2016, right? All of Russiagate, the entire Russian collusion narrative was one that was born in so many ways and created and constructed and fabricated by the intelligence agencies. They were feeding this what is rightly understood as disinformation into the ecosystem that would benefit democratic electoral politics. And I think there's no reason we should expect that to stop anytime soon.
Drew Holden writes at his Substack, Holden Court, that's Drew Holden, Holden, drewholden.substack.com. Drew, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Annie joins us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
In 2012, the Journal of Cognition and Emotion published a study that showed that we make a decision to trust a person within 100 milliseconds of seeing their face. Making a good first impression has never been more important, and you can make that positive impression with a professional headshot from Tom Killoran Photography. Whether you're a job seeker trying to land your next position, or you're looking to build your business by connecting with prospective clients and customers, you need a high-quality headshot to use with your resume, portfolio, website, or other marketing materials. The experts at Tom Killoran Photography can work with you to capture the exact look you need for your professional presentation. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photography photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see a sample of their work, just visit killoranphotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
You've worked hard and accumulated wealth, but you know the pitfalls involved in passing significant assets to your heirs. The team at Spahn Financial will help you feel secure with personalized financial planning to achieve your legacy goals. They anticipate and manage all your wealth planning needs and focus on the full financial picture, including tax efficiency, income distribution throughout retirement, philanthropic giving, estate planning, and more. They even help you prepare the next generation to be good stewards. Kevin Spahn is a 2024 Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisor and Barron's Top 1200 Financial Advisor. Visit SpahnFinancial.com to schedule a consultation and to view disclosures. That's SPAHMFinancial.com. Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors List, April 2024. Data as of 6/30/2023. Barron's Top 1200 Financial Advisors List, March 2024. Data as of 9/30/2023. No compensation provided for ratings. Marketing fees apply to promote ratings.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass, JohnCassNews.com, in for Amy J. Coming up at 8:08, we'll be talking to our friend Carol Swain, great academic, senior fellow at the Institute of Faith and Culture now. One of the accusations being leveled in the direction of Trump, that black support he allegedly has, imaginary. We'll start there with Carol Swain at 8:08, but now it is 8 o'clock, AM 560 WIND.
The big sit-down, Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. Vice President Kamala Harris fielding questions from CNN in her first sit-down since President Joe Biden dropped out of the race.
I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative.
She shifted positions on fracking and the border, but says her values have not changed.
We've been looking for policy details from the vice president, but this was her painting in still pretty broad strokes in her first sit-down interview since becoming a candidate more than a month ago. But Harris had difficulty explaining some of the abrupt reversals that we've seen in recent weeks on everything from electric vehicle mandates and the border wall to her now former opposition to fracking. Now, for his part, VP nominee Tim Walz was asked about his assertion that he carried a weapon in war. After never having actually been in combat, he blamed that on an error in his grammar.
That is Fox's Douglas Zader. Former President Trump is set to appear at the annual gathering of Moms for Liberty today, but first he's going to visit another battleground state for a rally.
Former President Trump will speak in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Friday afternoon. He's been traveling around the country holding rallies in critical swing states, hoping to combat what has been, as of late, a surge by the Democratic ticket led by Vice President Kamala Harris. The Johnstown rally comes 2 months after the attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania. Today's rally will be an indoor event. Recent polling has former President Trump and Vice President Harris virtually tied in Pennsylvania with less than 10 weeks to Election Day. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Now, yesterday, the former president made the pitch for free IVF treatments and said a 6-week abortion ban in Florida is too short. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 77 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Crystal Blue in the AM 560 newsroom. Mostly cloudy skies today with a chance of showers, high near 87. 4 people are in custody after they were accused of stealing dozens of televisions from a freight train on Chicago's South Side. Police say the crime took place early Thursday morning near 63rd and Wentworth. Authorities say officers spotted 4 suspects loading TVs from a train onto the bed of a pickup truck. The alleged offenders ran off but were arrested after a brief foot chase. Police recovered 39 flat-screen televisions from the truck. Cook County authorities are ruling an electrocution death of a man on a CTA Red Line third rail a homicide. The unidentified 31-year-old male victim fell on the tracks early Tuesday morning at the 79th Street station. He was taken to University of Chicago Hospital with injuries to his body and was later pronounced dead. Area 2 detectives are investigating. Southwest suburban Joliet police are investigating after 2 teenage boys were shot near a local grocery store. The shooting happened Wednesday night, not far from a Western Food Mart parking lot. Officers found the 17 and 15-year-old teens suffering from gunshot wounds in the 300 block of Bluff Street. Both suffered non-life-threatening injuries. No one is in custody. A man is accused of driving through a group of people in Springfield. Evan Hudson is charged with aggravated battery and aggravated assault with a vehicle. Police say Hudson got into a fight with 2 people early yesterday in the parking lot of the Quick and Easy at 430 North Grand Avenue. He then got into his vehicle and drove through a group of people on the sidewalk. A woman was sent to the hospital after the vehicle ran over her legs. State and local leaders are celebrating the completion of the Longmeadow Parkway Bridge corridor in Kane County. The new bridge carries commuters over the Fox River. It is the centerpiece of a nearly 6-mile road that stretches from Huntley Road to Route 62 in the northern section of Kane County. The project has been under construction since 2016. News is a service of Valdecast Windows. Contact them today for 50% off installation now through September 2nd. If you're a discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service, visit Valdecast.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Ulta Beauty shares are down 8% after its disappointing earnings. It's also lowered expectations after sales declined in recent months. Ulta executives say the beauty category is resilient, but customers are focusing on value and competition remains high. Emergent BioSolutions shares up more than 20% after the FDA approved its smallpox vaccine for Mpox disease in patients who are at high risk of infection. NVIDIA shares are recovering some ground this morning, up more than 1%. Barron says Wall Street analysts are still upbeat about NVIDIA. There's encouraging news from Europe. Inflation in the European Union fell sharply this month to 2.2%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Charlie Kirk sees the impact he has on America.
If looks could kill, I would not be alive today. This program, this show, it does not just penetrate right-wing circles. It doesn't just get to swing voters. Left-wingers and left-wing activists are very, very well aware of the power of Real America's Voice, of The Charlie Kirk Show.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. Quite a few accidents out there. First of all, on DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound, there's an accident at North Avenue. It is in the left lane, solid all the way from Belmont. Then we see delays southbound side of the Tri-State from 132 to 21. That accident is in the right lane. Eastbound Jane Addams, an accident right at the Fox River Bridge. Moved off to the shoulder. Westbound Jane Addams, an overturned car at Elmhurst blocking the left lane. On the Edens inbound, 30 minutes, Lake Cook Road to Montrose Kennedy. Hour and 10 in from O'Hare to downtown, accident at Nagel, and that one is in the right lane. Eisenhower in 1 hour to the post office from 390. Inbound Stevenson 45, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 35 minutes inbound side of the Dan Ryan Express are tight. 47th to the Stevenson. DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound, an accident at North Avenue left lane. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds and some sun, a thunderstorm. It'll be humid. Thunderstorms could bring some damaging wind today, high 87. Clear tonight, low 63. Sunny, less humid day tomorrow, and the high 85. And then sunny, very nice day on Sunday, the high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J is John Cass, johncastnews.com. And John, this is an interesting comment, very Biden-esque. You know, these some battleground surveys came out, as they come out just about every day.
Right.
And they showed Trump getting 19% of the black vote in half a dozen battleground states, sort of in aggregate, which is almost 3 times the percentage of the black vote that he got 4 years ago.
Can Democrats win if that happens? No.
Be difficult. Angela Rye is sort of a frequent guest on that Charlemagne the God radio program. That was the program where Kamala had a good laugh about how she likes to smoke marijuana when she was trying to be cool on the campaign trail in 2020.
And if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Well, that's Biden.
Right.
And Angela Rye has another perspective on this alleged support that Trump is receiving from black Americans.
I don't make anything of these polls that are talking to imaginary black folks. I would love to know, for one, who they're talking to, because I've not seen.
So you think
them
that they don't
anywhere.
exist?
I think that they are, maybe, you know what, they might be the invisible man that Ralph Ellison talked about in his book. I don't know who these people are. There was a Trump ad that was released, I believe today, that's targeting black women voters. And there are these people who, allegedly exist all throughout the country, and they're reading scripts. You can see their eye line going over here. And I think some of them might be paid to say some of these things.
So any black person supporting President Trump is either being paid or is imaginary. Interesting. For more on this and other political and cultural matters, pleased to be joined again by Carol Swain, Senior Fellow at the Institute for Faith and Culture, best-selling author most recently of The Adversity of Diversity, and a longtime academic as well at, Princeton and Vanderbilt, among other institutions. Carol, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
So what's your response to what Ms. Rye had to say about the black support that Trump is enjoying at present?
Well, one of those black Trump supporters is my oldest son, who had been a Democrat most of his life. I believe he may have voted for Trump in 2020. In 2024, he is actively supporting Trump on social media. He's getting into arguments. He's asking me for data. He's out there campaigning harder than I am.
How much is he being paid by the Trump campaign to do that?
He's just getting misery from the people who disagree with him, but he's doing it because he truly believes, and he thinks the people that are supporting Kamala and think Biden did a great job are just crazy. And so he actually has data, and he knows, just like they do or should know, that they're not better off today than they were, before Biden was elected. That the Trump economy was a good economy. I believe the virus was deliberately released, to disrupt our society and the world because it impacted the whole world. But Trump was really making a real difference in America before the COVID-19 virus.
When your son talks that way, I'm reminded of the arguments that were made by people in Chicago who didn't want standards in schools. They didn't want tough grammar taught. They didn't want tough reading lists out. And they characterized it by saying, if you support that, you are acting white. And I wonder,
terrible.
Has that gone away? The acting white nonsense, is that still out there?
Well, I can tell you that it is terrible, and it's a crime what's been done to black people in the inner city, that the standards have been lowered to the point that this generation today will not have the same opportunities as my generation, because even though I started off in a segregated school, they were strong on academics. And so when my public education moved from a segregated school to an integrated school, I was not behind. I never heard that math was racist. I knew that it was challenging because I didn't like to work out problems, but I was forced to work out problems. I was forced to do the things that eventually paid off with me becoming the woman I am today. And I can tell you that for my son, it's not just the economy. He has grandchildren, and he's very concerned about their education. And one of the things I'm doing is sending one of those children, the oldest great-grandchild, to a private school. He's going to a Catholic school. I'm Protestant, but the Catholics offer the best education that I can afford in the city where he lives.
Yeah, actually, speaking of that topic of school choice is where I'm going. Perhaps the opportunity to make this more of a campaign issue than it's been so far. I mean, it's sort of, to borrow from Victor Hugo, an idea whose time has come, and we're seeing it play out in real time with a supermajority of the states now having some form of school choice. But in big cities where you have a disproportionate share of the black population, America's black population living, that's often not the case. Places like Chicago, L.A., New York, certainly not the choices that you have sort of statewide in places like Indiana. And so I wonder, given the poor performance of these government school systems, particularly in urban centers, really across the nation, an opportunity to push this issue more to the policy forefront from Trump.
I mean, I don't know who can get through to Trump. I think he's made some terrible decisions during this campaign. I think he's losing part of his base. And the common sense things like you just articulated as far as the quality of schools and opportunity to push for school choice, they're not doing the things that you and I might think are rational.
Yeah, develop that a little bit more. I'm interested in your perspective on what you think some of the more damaging mistakes he's made so far have been.
I think he's kicked evangelical Bible-believing Christians to the curb, and that they are the ones that fasted and prayed for him in 2016 and 2020. They've stood by him. Some of them are in jail now because of January 6th. Not necessarily because they did anything, but because they were Trump supporters. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they have paid a high cost for supporting him. And when he talks about he supports reproductive rights or reproductive freedom, we know that's a euphemism for abortion. And when in Florida he makes the statement that cutting abortion off at 6 weeks, that women need longer than that. I mean, where does that come from? People that are Christians, we believe that life begins at conception, and that it's a taking of a human life, and we don't, like, if it has to take place, you wouldn't want it to take place, after 6 weeks. You wouldn't want it to take place at all. But when he says that the unborn child needs to be, the mother needs more time than 6 weeks, then I think it's very troubling that he's not acting as he did in 2016 and 2020 when he really came down strongly for pro-life. What I'm reading is that after Roe, that more babies are being aborted. The Republicans are not addressing that. And then I believe that there are people who are delegates, Republican delegates from around the country, who thought they would have some input into the platform, that when they arrived, it was already prepackaged. They were forced to vote it up or down. And what they took out was any references to the sanctity of human life, which includes more than abortion. It includes the mutilation of children as well as how we treat the elderly. It involves every stage of life. Well, that's taken out of the platform. They're not affirming that support for marriage, traditional marriage in the platform, and any references really to a balanced budget or things that we traditionally associate with Republicans. I became a Republican because after I had my Christian conversion experience, I like that emphasis on God, country, and family. What I see is that they have moved much closer to the Democrats when they didn't have to. And so I'm beginning to just wonder, like, what is this?
It's a fair critique. I mean, I can't really argue with that. I think you're on the mark. I think you can't. I mean, this is what the party's been doing for a long time, which is why the culture is where it is, which is to run away from the cultural issues. I mean, it's one thing to say the Dobbs decision is the Dobbs decision, and it's very clear that this is going to be fought out in the states. It's another thing to say, well, then I'm going to start commenting on what different states are doing, particularly states that are moving in a more pro-life direction, like Florida. To be critiquing that, I think, is unwise. I think that's right.
It seems almost evil, and it makes you just wonder at what is taking place. And I think that there will be consequences. I would not be surprised if Kamala won. And I say that because as a Christian believer, I believe God is a God of justice. I believe that Obama was part of his judgment on America. He took us in a direction where we scarcely recognize ourselves. Kamala, I believe, would totally take us over the edge. I mean, we're already over the edge, but I think it would be the end of America as we know it. And I think people like me and those of us who have been outspoken against the Biden administration, I have mocked Kamala because I think she's a joke, that we might find ourselves thrown into jail for something because they can make up things on you. I don't think that we will be safe, and they've already just totally eviscerated the whole idea of due process, presumption of innocence. The lawfare has destroyed law in America. If they get a simple majority, they will expand the Supreme Court and load it with left-wing people, Marxists. America will be destroyed. That's what's at stake. And meanwhile, Donald Trump is I don't know who he is. Maybe this is who he always was. And I say this as someone who intends to vote for him. I'm deeply disappointed.
Yeah, well, I think there's a sort of a people-pleasing, pandering aspect to Trump, like most politicians. And I know he's not a politician, but yes, he is. So something else, though, too, particularly because your story, and we've told it before, but if people don't know the story of Carol Swain, I mean, just very briefly, I mean, you worked as a cashier at McDonald's. You earned a GED while you were doing that and raising a family. And then you went on to have this incredible academic career at some of the most prestigious universities in the world, or at least they used to be. And so it's a pretty amazing story about a pretty amazing story that could only happen in America, sort of speak. So so your reaction when you see Kamala and Tim Walz and other Democrats last week at the DNC suggesting that J.D. Vance's escape from poverty in Appalachia to make it to Yale Law School and then a successful career in business before he got into politics is somehow some sort of betrayal of the place that he came from, and going to Yale Law School is some sort of is being some sort of East Coast elitist as compared to the Midwest everyman that is Tim Walz?
Well, before I get to that, I want to say that in the spirit of honesty, since Kamala said she worked at McDonald's, I believe Wikipedia says I worked at McDonald's, and someone got that wrong. I believe it was Burger King.
Okay. All right.
It was a half a day.
Okay.
A half a day. My fast food career was half a day, so I want to make sure that that's understood.
All right.
And as far as
you couldn't cut it at Burger King, but you could cut it at Princeton?
I have respect for people who do fast food and do those jobs that I just can't. There's some things I can't do. I don't do it well. But yeah, I was a high school dropout, one of 12, married at 16. By the time I was 20, had small children. Part of my life, I've been an unwed mother, and I came from dirt poverty. And I identify with J.D. Vance. I know how hard it is to get out of that kind of poverty and to be able to go to college and do well. It's so much you have to learn. It's not just the academics. You got to learn the culture. And I, too, have a Yale law degree. I have a master's in law. I'm not an elitist. I haven't forgotten my roots, and neither has J.D. Vance. And so I was a big supporter of J.D. Vance because I think he understands America. He loves America. He served in the military, and he's exactly what we need. There's nothing weird about coming from poverty, becoming a success, and standing up for American values. And the statement he made about the childless cat ladies, there were probably a lot of them he encountered over the course of his life, and he has a sense of humor. And just like with Trump, they can't stand anyone that jokes. I mean, he put out this meme about the debate that was really funny that had the beauty queen that was airbrained.
Right.
Airbrained. And, I mean, so he has a sense of humor. I like that.
That's why they hate him. That's why
they hate him because he's smart.
Destroy him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Carol Swain, senior fellow at the Institute of Faith and Culture, best-selling author, most recently of The Adversity of Diversity. Carol, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye. You too. And Carol joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Donley Auctions wants your stuff. They have buyers. They need your items. If you're a collector, contact them and find out the market value. If you know a collector, tell Donley about them. If they sell it, you'll get a Donley's Finder fee. Cha-ching, cash in your pocket. Randy, what are you on the hunt for now?
We need collectibles for our auction, and you need some extra cash. Not sure what you have? Call us. We know the value, and then you can make the decision. With our worldwide auction audience, we get top dollar. Here's your chance to add some additional money when you need it. 815-923-7000, 815-923-7000. Check us out at DonleyAuctions.com.
Do you have any of these? Call Donley. You know anyone that has any of these things? Call Donley and get Donley's finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you.
AM 560. The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan and John Cass. JohnCassNews.com is in for Amy J. It is that time of the week, Open Mic Friday. We take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line for that matter. And your calls can be filled with compliments, criticisms, concerns, general crack pottery. We will take it all, and we begin, as we always do, with David Kolsak.
Well, good morning, Dan and John.
Good morning, David.
I'm going to pile on your topic, man. I'm going to your topic this morning about Pavel Durov is something that's over the target. So, I agree with you this morning. Something monumental happened over in France. Pavel Durov was arrested, and I would say he was kidnapped. For those who are listening who don't know who Pavel Durov, he's the CEO and founder of the Telegram app. He's 39 years old. He's a billionaire, and he's been steadfast in keeping Telegram a place for free speech. He's also been resistant to governments all over the world, like you said, who want to censor him. Pavel has said that governments have been strongly pressuring him to provide backdoors so that intelligence agencies like the CIA, the NSA, the FBI can access their user data. He's resisted. And most people don't know what Telegram is, so I want to explain that. I've been on it for years. Telegram's less of a social media app and more like a messaging platform being used as a social media platform. It's more like WhatsApp than it is like X or Facebook or TikTok, meaning you can message privately between users. You can subscribe to channels and see what people post. You can participate in group chats and post pictures, videos, really anything. So it's a useful place where all the people that got kicked off of Twitter circa 2020 went to so they could continue to have a voice. To put the app usage in perspective, X has like 350 million users per month. Telegram has over 800 million users per month. TikTok has 1.2 billion. Instagram has 2.3 billion, and WhatsApp has 2.5 billion, and Facebook or Meta has 3 billion. So Telegram's a formidable force on the internet, and you also have to note that Telegram has more of a global reach than X. It's more international than it is local, national here. So why did he get arrested? He left Russia years ago and fled to the UAE, where he set up his company in a place where the government would leave him alone and allow Telegram to be free from censors. He established residency in the UAE, and he also has citizenship in France. So when he landed his private jet in Paris, he was arrested. He might have fallen victim to a honeypot scenario where this beautiful Eastern European siren, who he was traveling the world with, knew his every move. Maybe she gave him up. Either way, he was arrested for being complicit in crimes committed on Telegram, could spend 20 years or more. That's right. He didn't do anything himself, but he's being held accountable for something being done on his platform. These allegations include complicity in enabling illegal transactions on the platform, refusal to cooperate with law enforcement, involvement in crimes such as distribution of child pornography, drug trafficking, and other organized criminal activities. These charges stem from concerns about Telegram's use by criminals due to its strong encryption and lack of content moderation. Although he was released on 5 million euros bail, he's barred from leaving France and has to report to a police station twice a week. So why is it such a big deal? Because there are very few places we can go and say whatever we want, right? Those places are TikTok, kind of free speech, which is set to be banned in the U.S. You've got Telegram, where they've got maximum pressure on the CEO. And you've got Elon Musk at X, who's under attack from every direction, banned in Brazil and facing challenges everywhere. Look at that contrast like you did earlier in the segment today. On Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, he issues a letter saying he was sorry. He bent the knee to White House and he suppressed Hunter Biden's laptop, directly influencing the last presidential election. I'm really sorry. He was also complicit in the suppression of information about COVID. He should hang. Let me be clear. He should hang. However, he capitulated. Unlike Durov, Facebook and WhatsApp, owned by Meta and Zuckerberg, already allow access to their platforms to intelligence agencies, and they listen to what they're told. The White House or CIA tells them to jump, and they ask, well, how high? What's more, in exchange for that full cooperation with the government, these kinds of companies get government contracts and advantages for doing so. So this is a free speech issue, like you said, and it's a big one. What's puzzling is that Trump is not talking about it at all. Remember back in 2020, he was a sitting president in the United States. He was banned from Twitter. Although recently reinstated, Trump was the example of internet censorship. He, of all people, should be standing up for free speech. Maybe he's too distracted with all this gushing over Robert Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. So these major platforms like Facebook and Instagram have billions of users, and one should expect illicit activities to go on. All of them have terms of service. Even Telegram, same thing, that don't allow pornography, child trafficking, money laundering, and all kinds of illicit things. There have been scandals on Facebook where certain hashtags would deliver child pornography. So should Mark Zuckerberg be held responsible, like you guys talked about, for the actions of his users on a platform he runs? No, he doesn't. Neither does Google. Anyone should expect that any place online that has a large base will have illicit activity, yet the ones that are cooperating with the government are left alone, and those who don't, like Telegram, are punished. So I want to be clear. If you don't allow backdoors and access to your large platform to the likes of the CIA, the NSA, and the FBI, and allow them to see everything about their users, that's the crime. And you'll become an international criminal for not doing so. You are now complicit in your users' activities and can be charged criminally. So you cannot communicate anywhere on planet Earth without a Western intelligence apparatus or law enforcement agency being able to see it. It's not a good situation at all. If this is allowed to happen, the combination of, think about it, deep fakes, AI, robotics, data scraping, transhumanism, you've got a dangerous place where Western intelligence agencies control everything. And it's technological tyranny, and it's really not that far away, especially if Telegram falls. And if you make something like Pavel Durov did in Telegram that isn't under the jurisdiction of the government without being kidnapped, arrested, or held hostage, then we don't have a chance. So if I were Elon Musk, I would avoid traveling for a while. Otherwise, you might end up like Julian Assange, holed up in an embassy somewhere without seeing the sun for decades. So Lord help us.
All right, thank you, David. Appreciate it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line on this Open Mic Friday. John, anything you would like to get off your chest before we take some calls?
No, I just think that if you capitulate to government, you deserve what happens. And what happens is 1984. That's basically it. It's already been written out. And now we're just going to determine how long we've got.
Greg in LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Just the Carol Swain thing is just an incredible story, her and Thomas Sowell.
Yes.
Just shattered the myth of that complete canard that you need to be hands out to make it in life. But Dan and John, I keep coming back to a movie that I've seen a while ago, A Face in the Crowd.
Yeah,
and I just
Andy Griffith.
think that
the trilogy.
Yeah.
The trilogy.
And I just keep thinking to myself, there's going to be an open mic incident where people are just going to wake up. Where it's who was it? It was Patricia Neal that basically and Walter Matthau that basically get him. They just say this guy's a huckster and we're going to get him. And the people turn on him. Everybody turned on him. But I just don't know if I have the faith in the American people to turn on the other party, let's call them. Because I think that these intelligence agencies and everything that swirls around them scares the hell out of them. And they're not willing to fight. And the motto I live by is Joseph Bronowski. Dissent is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Greg.
The trilogy, by the way, is Ridicule, Face in the Crowd, and what's the third one? Idiocracy.
Oh, that's your personal trilogy.
Yes.
Your personal
Not mine.
dystopian. Well, I wouldn't call it Face in the Crowd dystopian, but I get the
good movies
connections. Yes. Dawn in Naperville.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for taking my phone call. I think that middle-class Americans, they're carrying financial burdens that are just not sustainable. So to me, the most damaging words that Ms. Kamala Harris said was, we're not going back. The tangible items that people must have, their house, their food, insurance for their cars and autos, they don't understand how people they've seen skyrocketing costs. I just talked to a lovely lady yesterday. She's in her 70s. She's had to go back to work just to buy food. So in my opinion, to me, that is what Trump should use against her, because people want to go back to lower costs. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Dawn. Linda, Palos Heights.
Hi, thanks for taking my call this morning. Every time I hear John co-hosting with one of you, I always think of his French onion soup recipe, and I just want to thank him for publishing it because it is the best French onion soup I've ever eaten.
It is, and maybe we could get Dan to open a can once in a while and begin.
I don't like French onion soup. I don't.
It's the bomb. It is the best It's a lot. It's a process, but it's delicious. So thank you for sharing that with us, John.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Love
Linda. Yeah, I like soup. I just don't like that heavy onion presence in a French onion soup.
You don't.
But you know,
I'm not going to argue.
That's
with
me.
I can argue with someone who isn't even boiled water. You know, you can't even make.
Well, I'm not saying I'm
frozen dumplings.
I'm not
okay?
saying I can. I don't pretend to be able to cook, but I still get to weigh in on foods that I like and don't like.
Them.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, there's no such thing as good French onion soup, is my point, because I don't like French onion soup.
That's TFB, as they say.
Hmm.
All chefs say it.
Really?
Uh-huh.
And you were criticizing Brittany Mahomes for using foul language? That's a foul acronym.
I'd give not 2 figs for you.
2 figs. Rich, Indian Head
Wrapped in
Park.
prosciutto.
Yeah. Don't like figs either.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good morning,
Rich.
Dan. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good.
I've got 2 quick things to say. Number one, everybody's talking about this interview. To me, it wasn't an interview. It was a 30-minute campaign speech. She said nothing that we already didn't know. And like you said earlier, all she did was gaslight the American people and flip-flop on everything. And she gave nobody that was on the fence a reason to vote for her. And the second thing is, I want to wish you guys and all the hardworking people a happy and safe Labor Day weekend.
Thanks.
You guys have a good weekend.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Rich. And I love Indian Head Park. And Rafael Chios of the Chicago Fire lives there, and so does my brother, Pete, and Georgia, his wife.
What are you doing this? Are you playing soccer? Are you making French onion soup? What are you doing this weekend?
I think I'm going to head over to Pete's and let him do some sausage on the grill. Sausage.
Very good. I'm actually I'm looking forward to Sand Hills, which is a golf club. It's a destination golf club in Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to go there for a few days.
That's where the Sandhill crane comes from, apparently, right?
I did not know that. I'm not the ornithologist that you are. But speaking of what Rich had to say, I don't know if you saw this. Nicole Shanahan, I still have high hopes for her as a Trump surrogate. And she's
good.
She's doing some surrogating in a different kind of way. She posted this ad. It's very tongue-in-cheek, but the point is unmistakable. She posted this video that she attributed to her team. So she's got some creative people working to do some messaging that is intended to be beneficial to the Trump effort. Take a listen.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, Independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With Independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, Independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of Independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With Independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Ask your doctor if Independence is right for you.
Yeah.
And enjoy your freedoms once again.
There's a pill for that, apparently, that TDS now. What will Big Pharma come up with next?
Nicole Shanahan.
Pretty
Great.
good. Yeah. And I like the spoofing Big Pharma from a team that is not exactly big fans of Big Pharma, to say the least.
Oof.
John in Milwaukee on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. This is an election of good versus evil. And a question for both of you, and then I'll shut up. What time do you guys wake up in the morning? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, John. Well, we don't wake up together, so it's different times, I presume.
I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning in Green Acres with Arnold the pig down the street and Ziffles and so forth.
Because you go outside, you do your Tai Chi exercises for 45 minutes before you start the day. Is that why?
No,
and you make your French onion soup for breakfast?
I got to collect some eggs in the hen house
and
do some chores.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get up. What time did I get up today? 2:30? 2:30, I think. 2:30. 2:33.
All of us have fled Chicago for a better place. I found it in Indiana.
All right. Okay, Jimmy Chitwood. Mary Kay in Western Springs.
Hi, good morning. I woke up at 3:48. So
what were you doing?
watching some stupid show on MeTV, but it wasn't Green Acres. I don't know. I was watching a sitcom because they calm me down sometimes.
Okay.
But you stayed in so you wouldn't get hijacked like that poor guy in Western Springs the other day.
Yeah, I keep talking. Yeah, I keep talking about the carjacking. I want to make sure everyone heard about it, and here's my comments about it. That you live in happy little Mayberry out here, and you better know what's going on. Anyway, I want a little before 8, Dan, you were talking about abortion, and you meant to say the word son, S-O-N, and you said sin, S-I-N. Thought that was an interesting Freudian slip.
Did I?
Back up and listen to that. You did.
Okay.
You did not correct yourself either, which I thought was interesting. So go back and listen to that on the rewind, people, and maybe that'll, I don't know, make you think differently about abortion a little bit. And regarding Kamala, you often say go talk to your friends and keep trying to work onto our side. I had lunch with a lady yesterday who is an independent who is really center left, and she said we got to the topic of abortion, and she agreed with what Trump's position is basically, and that late-term abortion is murder. She agreed with that. And she also said that transgenderism is lunacy, that we don't believe it at all, and that there's a kid in my daughter's class from LT, Ann McClure, John, who decided to be a woman when he was 18, and he is a woman. Yeah, this kid who liked the girls, ran around after the girls. Something happened to him in high school. Parents divorced, and the kid kind of went off the rails, and now he has breasts and wears skirts and rides a bike around here. It's just, anyway, by the end of the lunch, my friend said, I might even consider voting for Trump. And she kind of giggled, so I don't know if she was serious or if she just said that. But I thought, I'm doing my part. I'm talking.
Yeah, very good. All right.
Well, keep doing it. So everybody.
Keep breaking her down with the facts, Mary Kay. Very good.
Well,
thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Speaking of that, Yale, and I meant to ask Carol Swain about this too, or get her comments, but Yale University is hosting a course this coming fall semester that will ask students to focus on queer science.
Oh, God.
Students will enroll in the course. Who enroll in the course are offered introductory questions to gauge their interest, not gauge, including questions like, can facial recognition technology really tell you if you're queer? Why is everyone so obsessed with gay penguins?
Nobody is obsessed with gay penguins.
Yale is.
Apparently so.
That's not the only one. Also, Northwestern, not to be outdone, is offering a course this fall in universal trans rights, which will be part of Northwestern's Gender and Sexuality Studies program as well. UCLA's medical school recently hired students to write the curriculum for the school's required structural racism and health equity curriculum, which emphasizes critical race theory and queer theory. You may want to check to see if a doctor you're seeing is a recent graduate of UCL Medical School and get a second opinion. But anyway, that's what's going on. And so, I mean, this is to the anecdote that Mary Kay shared about this cultural contagion. And also, to the extent you think that the defenestration of some Ivy League university presidents means something new and exciting is happening in the Ivy League, well, the Yale course should disabuse you of that notion. Also this is unbelievable. Dance of the Lemons. Former University of Pennsylvania president Liz McGill, who resigned, she was one of those who embarrassed herself in the congressional committee along with Claudine Gay, along with Northwestern's Michael Schill. I think he's a short-timer at Northwestern, but we'll see. Anyway, McGill got hired by Harvard. Now she's a visiting senior fellow at Harvard Law School's Center on the Legal Profession, according to her updated CV that was obtained by University of Pennsylvania student newspaper. So she embarrasses herself, disgraces the institution at Penn. All these big donors say Liz McGill's got to go at Penn, and all these big donors say Claudine's got to go at Harvard. Claudine's still there, just as a professor, not the university president. They bring McGill over. So where are the donors in both institutions? Where are these big boys who made a big show of it to show how committed to opposing anti-Semitism they were after giving tens of millions or even hundreds of millions in some cases into these incubators of totalitarianism and all sorts of hateful ideologies? And here they just laugh. The people in charge of these institutions just scoff, even at who you think are the most powerful people, that have the billionaires that give all the money to endow buildings with their name or professorships with their name and so forth. They just laugh. You know where you can go? People always looking for, where should I send my kid to college and so forth? And the list of, depending on what your kid wants from college, maybe he wants to do intellectual combat and you go to a place where you're going to be grossly outnumbered. But I mean, yeah. The flip side is right. The real institutions that are committed to a classical liberal education, yeah, University of Dallas, Hillsdale, Grove City, a few others. There's a new one, and we've mentioned this before, but they've got a new marketing video that's really quite something. The New College of St. Andrews brought this school to you before. The New St. Andrews College, I guess technically is the name. New St. Andrews College. This is in Idaho. Take a listen to this video, and you should really check it out online too.
Wanted. Young men to rebuild Western civilization. Must be unafraid of pain, blisters, intellectual rigor, and a lifetime of long shifts with swords and shovels, digging ditches, repelling invaders, and reading stacks of books taller than their fathers. Must be impervious to manipulative women of all sorts, giggling virgins, cyber skanks, and even full cauldrons of Karens or hand-wringing clergy, but always seeking to hear and heed the words of Lady Wisdom. Immune to the leadership of hypocrites and LARPing online masculinitats, unaffected by abusive authorities, petty professors, and all brokers of official respectability. Willing to hoist the Jolly Roger and Johnny Cash's favorite finger whenever faced with idolatry. Long-suffering joy and determination required. Must be willing to dwell among the tombs and graves of the long dead, seeking truths that cannot die. Exhaustion guaranteed. Conflict guaranteed. Mortality guaranteed. New St. Andrews College. Liberal arts for the undaunted.
I love that. I gotta go. I'm already signed up for a kick course at Hillsdale.
Are you?
Yeah, I want to do it. I want to do the other Greeks with Victor Davis Hanson, our hero. But this sounds good too.
Yeah, I male impersonators, the P-hats, but then that
LARPing.
The masculinitats. The over like I'm sure they're talking about somebody like an Andrew Tate,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so wildly popular, but completely, they're completely ridiculous.
By the way, my brother Nick, who you've had on your podcast and know him, Nick lives in Andrew Tate's house, former house.
Really, in Romania?
And I know Nick is listening to this, so yeah, you've been outed, Nick, by your own girl.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I hope things end better for Nick than they did for Tate.
Please don't kill me.
He's out of that business now. Yeah. Robert, Crown Point.
Hey,
Neighbor.
guys, love your show. I just want to say a couple comments.
Neighbor.
If my Orthodox bishop was in the DNC, he would never hear the end of it. The EU and the UN are attacking Israel for Israel killing terrorists inside Israel. Israel goes after the terrorists where they are, even in the mosque where they find caches of weapons. And now I know who's in control of this country. It's not American people. It's the illegals, as they did in that apartment, 10 of them with rifles, pistols, hatchets, axes, nonchalantly breaking in, smoking, talk on the phone. Who's in control of this country? Have a good weekend and Labor Day, everybody. God bless.
Thanks, Robert. To his point,
you don't go to Aurora, Colorado. You go to Crown Point, Indiana.
Yeah, Aurora, Colorado Mayor Mike Kaufman went on Fox News Channel yesterday to talk about it as these videos of migrants taking over apartment buildings in his town circulated.
So there are several buildings actually under the same ownership, out-of-state ownership, that have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs. I'm trying to walk it back and do the investigation as to how there's a concentration of Venezuelans in these three buildings. Somebody put them there, and somebody funded it. Whether it's federal government or not, we're trying to find out who. These gangs apparently are attracted to where there's a concentration of Venezuelan migrants, and so they've in fact have kind of pushed out the property management through intimidation and then collected the rents. We have now or have had it is ongoing operations with a task force of local law enforcement, state law enforcement partners, and federal law enforcement partners to root them out. And arrests have been made, but these operations are still ongoing.
If you don't vote for Trump, if you don't elect Trump and put people like Tom Homan in charge of this, they're going to continue.
Yeah,
and they'll get your town.
Here's what Kamala said about the border security yesterday on CNN.
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill.
That's a lie.
Of course it's a lie. It's also, I mean, again, you really have to suspend disbelief to provide any sort of countenance to that sort of misdirection play. I mean, 10 million people later, 300,000 kids missing, and because what Trump didn't give full-throated support to what would have been, by all expert accounts, an ineffectual, not political accounts, expert accounts, Tom Homan and others, Mark Morgan, ineffectual with respect to the problem because it's a political will problem. It's not a resource problem. They think everything's a resource problem. They think nothing's a political will problem. It's completely duplicitous, as she knows. And the reason that legislation didn't go anywhere is because constituents for these politicians revolted once they got wind of it. That's what really happened.
Yes.
Chris in Hartsdale, Indiana.
Hi, I'll make quick about how that organization that you said canned you. A lot of these nonprofits seem to be mostly ways for big money to influence Democrats. Like, what's Durbin's kid even doing in there? And then you got stuff like Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, whose plug you hear on NPR every 5 minutes, and then all their experts are always some weird fellowship thing or something. Anyway,
thanks for
there's not much time left.
Thanks for the call, Chris. Yeah, I mean, it's what I said, which is, any institution dominated by the left in today's world is just an institution you can't be a part of if you're not a leftist. It's not productive. We don't have time. Eduardo, quickly.
Yeah, I am happy that a program, Daily Blast, in Colorado couldn't use their better research to cover this story about water train over there in those apartments. So I'm glad they're going to be canceled next Friday. Thank you, God.
Thanks, Eduardo. Chuck in Delavan.
Hey, everybody get up here to Lake Geneva this weekend. Big shout out to Scott Dixon, one of my buddies. I want you to he's a great guy. Everybody come up. This is where the music ends this weekend up here. Get tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and just get out and dance and have a great weekend, you guys. Everybody, enjoy.
All right. Thanks so much, Chuck. John Cass, JohnCassNews.com. Chicago Way podcast, John Cass columns from other contributors. Get it all.
We always get a good cup of Midwestern common sense. Thank you, Danny.
Well said, John. Thanks so much for sitting in for Amy. Have a great Labor Day weekend, as well as you all listening. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Thanks for joining us. And it is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
News. The Democrats' nominee tells CNN,
My values do not change.
Even if her policies have on the border or banning fracking, Harris now says she can get to her green energy goals without banning fracking. She had no specifics for day one except to support the middle class. Fox's Rich Edson.
No major policy departures from the current administration. No regrets from Vice President Kamala Harris on sticking by President Biden when these calls were growing to get Biden out of the race. Now, Harris said generally it's time to turn the page on the last decade. She said when Biden called her to tell her that he was stepping aside, she responded, "Are you sure?" This interview follows new reporting in the New York Times that pressure from Senate Democrats was a more pivotal factor in getting Biden to drop out than previously known. Senator Jack Reed reportedly said to stay in the race, Biden would need an independent neurological exam with public results.
Or former President Trump with a new plan on IVF fertilization.
Your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization for women.
The GOP candidate in La Crosse, Wisconsin, would also allow people to deduct major expenses of a new baby.
Reproductive rights have become one of the top issues for voters this election, particularly among women in battleground states. And President Trump has been trying to walk a fine line with his policy proposals for a second term by trying to win over more suburban women without alienating his pro-life supporters. Democrats have tried to make IVF an issue as well. In Michigan and then again at his town hall here in Wisconsin, Trump pushed back on that by announcing that his administration would not only protect access to IVF, he would mandate that either insurance companies or the government cover the cost of it.
America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 78 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Crystal Blue in the AM 560 newsroom. 3 people are recovering following a shooting on Chicago's South Side. Police say 2 men and 1 woman were standing outside last night at a gathering in the 500 block of West Winnicott Parkway when they got into an argument with another person. The other person pulled out a gun and shot all 3 victims. No one is in custody. Loved ones are mourning the passing of a former Chicago police officer who was paralyzed by a drunk driver nearly 37 years ago. Jim Crowley died last week at the age of 59. Crowley was 22 years old in 1987 when a drunk driver hit his squad car, leaving him with traumatic brain injuries. Crowley had been living in a specialized care facility in Texas. The NASCAR Chicago Street Race is returning to the Windy City for a third year. The first race in 2023 generated more than $108 million in economic impact on Chicago's economy. The impact of the 2024 race is still being determined. News is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning, right here on AM 560 The Answer. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris will meet on the debate stage for the first time on September 10th. And AM 560 is throwing a debate watch party, and we want you to join us. Join Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and fellow AM 560 listeners on Tuesday, September 10th at Moretti's Unique Events in Hoffman Estates for a buffet dinner, followed by the debate. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/debate. That's 560theanswer.com/debate.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
On the Tri-State 294 northbound at Lake Cook Road, you've got that left lane blocked with a light pole down in the roadway. Lake Barrington, accident with injuries at Route 59 at Kelsey. Kennedy Inn, it's still stop and go from Central to Montrose, hour and 5 minutes from O'Hare into downtown. Eisenhower inbound, that's running an hour and 5 from 390 to Congress. 50 in from Wolf Road, and a crash in Addison on Army Trail Road at 355. That's been moved off to the shoulder. Traffic is brought to you by Blue Star Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. Reporting today from the Blue Star Security Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Watch for a thunderstorm this afternoon with a humid high of 87, then becoming mainly clear tonight with a low 63. Saturday will be mostly sunny and less humid with a high of 85, and mostly sunny and breezy Sunday with a high of 77. I'm Holly Holder on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Certified financial planner Tim Stearns holds a weekly discussion of the financial challenges to secure retirement. Listen Saturday at noon for Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns.
When you can't trust the mainstream media, where do you turn? Get the answers from Mike Gallagher right now on AM 560, The Answer. Portions of the following program may contain pre-recorded material.